Welcome,
Worker.
welcome everyone to this distinguished platform of excellencies, journalists, queens, kings, ambassadors, presidents, members of parliament, journalists, guests. You are welcome. As we say here in Africa, in Ghana, Akwaba. Thank you for joining us on this auspicious occasion, our press conference for Heritage and Reconquest. Thank you for being here today. We are honored with so many of you, and this is an historical occasion that will go down in the history of Africa. It is our quest to obtain all of our stored artifacts that were stolen in such heinous times. So without further ado, I would like to present to you our honorable, our auspicious leader, Your Excellency, Dr. Louis Georges Ten. Let's everybody just receive him with a hand clap and receive our leader who is taking us to higher heights and deeper depths. Dr. Ten, I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, dear Minister. So I will speak in French and in English. Je parlerai en anglais et en français. So I would like to greet, first of all, the Vice Prime Minister, Queen Widdecombe, the second Vice Prime Minister, Mr. Hugh Johnson, the President of the Parliament, Mr. Melvin Brown, our Minister, of course, of the State Department, Minister of Historical Legacy, all the members of the Parliament, the ambassadors, the journalists, the brothers and sisters in the room. Today is a historical day. Indeed, if you remember, last year in October, we had a conference about heritage and reconquest. And today, it is, of course, the follow-up. Now, it's about not restitution, but reconquest. And it's about organizing a class action. The principle is very simple, as we all know, very strength in numbers. So that's why we said we need to invite nations, kingdoms, and governments to join forces so that we can work together and reconquest what belongs to us. As you know, it is a matter of cultural integrity, of spiritual identity, of international justice, of economic development, and also political sovereignty. So that is why the state of the African diaspora and the International Commission on Culture have worked together to organize all of this. And I was thinking, if we have 5 countries, that would be very good. If we have 10 countries, it will be very, very good. In fact, I have today the pleasure to tell you, we have 15 nations with us. So that's very important. Donc, en français, je voulais saluer la vice-première ministre, le vice-premier ministre, la ministre du patrimoine, la ministre du département d'État, le président du Parlement, les ambassadeurs, les députés, les journalistes, frères et sœurs. Il y a un an, pratiquement jour pour jour, nous organisions une conférence sur la reconquête du patrimoine, la reconquête des restes humains, et aujourd'hui nous sommes là pour le suivi, pour avancer et organiser une action de groupe. Cette action de groupe, elle repose sur un principe tout simple, l'union fait la force. Et je me disais à l'époque, si nous avons 5 pays, c'est bien. Si nous en avons 10, c'est très bien. Eh bien, nous avons 15 nations qui seront avec nous aujourd'hui. Alors, je vais d'abord présenter ce que nous avions obtenu de réussite d'avant, et puis nous allons passer, bien sûr, à l'avenir. So, I'm going to first mention what we did in the past, but then, of course, I will be to mention the future. So let me start with what we did in the past. I'm going to share my screen, if I'm allowed to do so. Yes. So I think now you can see my screen. So this is what we did for Benin. As you know, we worked for the restitution of the treasures of Benin. So this is here the truck with the artifacts, the thrones, and the statues of Benin. So that is one of our achievements. Donc là, nous avons obtenu victoire, c'était il y a 2 ans au Bénin, comme vous le savez, et nous avons travaillé pour que ces trésors reviennent. Ils étaient en France, bien sûr, et ils sont de retour également au Bénin. So that's why I was invited by the president of Benin, President Talon, here with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Ambassador of France, and the experts. Donc là, je suis au Bénin avec le président Talon, le ministre des Affaires étrangères, l'ambassadeur de France et les experts. Another achievement that we had, you can see it here, I think. So it is no, let's start with here. So this one is about a resolution that was presented and adopted in the Parliament of Belgium. So as you can see, this resolution is about restitution of human remains and cultural goods from colonization. And that was adopted in March 2019. And of course, that was the result of our campaign that we did in Brussels, in Belgium, with our MP Mireille Robert. Donc voilà une résolution qui a été présentée et adoptée en mars 2019. C'est une campagne que nous avons lancée avec notre député en Belgique, Mireille Robert. Vous le voyez à l'écran. C'est une résolution concernant la restitution des restes humains et des biens culturels issus de la période coloniale. Et d'ailleurs, le premier trésor a été restitué cette année et le reste va suivre. And the first artifact was restituted a few months ago, and the rest is expected to come in the coming weeks and months. Autre importante réussite, c'est ce texte que nous avons fait adopter au Parlement européen. Je suis sur le site, le 26 mars 2019. Et le texte au départ devait porter uniquement sur le racisme, et nous avons fait une action diplomatique qui aboutit à l'inclusion de 2 articles, ou 3 plutôt, les articles 7 à 9, que vous pouvez lire à l'écran. Donc le Parlement rappelle que certains États membres ont pris des mesures de réparation fortes et efficaces au regard des injustices et des crimes contre l'humanité dont ont été victimes les personnes d'ascendance africaine, tout en tenant compte des effets durables de ces actes sur le présent. Le Parlement invite les institutions de l'Union et le reste des États membres à suivre leur exemple en offrant par exemple des réparations sous la forme d'excuses publiques ou d'une restitution d'objets volés à leur pays d'origine. Article 9, le Parlement invite les États membres à déclassifier les archives coloniales. Et je dois dire que notre ambassadeur, M. Coleiro, à Malte, a rendez-vous d'ici quelques jours avec la présidente du Parlement européen, Mme Metsola, qui est elle-même de Malte, pour justement qu'on avance sur ce dossier et que ce qui était une résolution du Parlement devienne une directive de la Commission. So we have here another achievement of the state of the African diaspora, and that was done in March 2019 in the European Parliament. That's the website of the European Parliament. So initially, it was a text about racism in general, and we managed to include 3 articles that you can read here. So the Parliament 7, Article 7, recalls that some member states have taken steps toward meaningful and effective redress for past injustices and crimes against humanity, bearing in mind their lasting impacts in the present against people of African descent. The Parliament calls for the EU institutions and the remainder of the member states to follow this example, which may include some form of reparation, such as offering public apologies and the restitution of stolen artifacts to their countries of origin. And 9, the European Parliament calls on the member states to declassify their colonial archives. So these are some of the achievements that we had so far. laws voted in France, in Belgium, in the European Parliament, return and repatriation of the artifacts of Benin. But now is the time to go beyond. And that's why we're going to present 15 nations, their representative, who are going to explain what they are asking. And we will also share on the screen the press kit that we have worked on. And each time you will see the mandate given to SOAD or to somebody who is working with us in the commission, because we need to have the legal legitimacy, the full legitimacy to do this. And then some examples of the artifacts we are talking about. Of course, not everything, because there are thousands, even hundreds of thousands of artifacts, but at least to have some example for each nation of what we're talking about. Et donc, nous allons tout à l'heure partager avec vous le dossier de presse qui a été réalisé. Et pour chaque intervenant et chaque nation, il présente d'abord le mandat qui nous a été donné pour faire cela, parce qu'il faut avoir une légitimité. Et ensuite, il présente quelques exemples d'objets ou de restes humains. Alors, on ne peut pas tout présenter, il y a des centaines de milliers d'objets. Mais on présente quelques objets pour que vous puissiez voir ce dont il est question, des trésors, des biens rituels, etc. So I think now you understand the principle. So we have already started to send the letters to the countries we are targeting, such as UK, France, Switzerland, Austria, United States, and a few others. And of course, this is the first step for a diplomatic action. We give them 2 months. It means they have until the end of the year to give us the proper answer. If we don't receive the proper answer, or if we don't receive any answer at all, then the diplomatic class action will become a legal class action. And that is exactly what we did about Benin. We did say we're going to start with a conversation, and because of a lack of response, we said now we go to court. And then Mr. Macron said, no, you don't need to go to court. We can find an amicable solution. And this is how things manage. We manage to make things happen for Benin. So I think we can expect a similar result, because it's now not about one country, but about 15 nations. So as we are stronger, I don't expect that we should be weaker, of course. Donc, ce sera d'abord une class action, j'ai envie de dire diplomatique. Nous allons envoyer une lettre, nous donnons 2 mois au pays pour nous répondre, et si d'ici 2 mois, ils n'ont pas apporté une réponse suffisante ou pas apporté de réponse du tout, la class action diplomatique deviendra une class action judiciaire. Eh bien, c'est ce que nous avions fait pour le Bénin. Nous avions d'abord commencé par une action diplomatique, et puis comme ça ne marchait pas, nous sommes allés au tribunal, et c'est là que M. Macron nous a dit, non, c'est pas la peine d'aller au tribunal. Il a dit, on va régler tout cela à l'amiable, et c'est ainsi que ça s'est passé pour le Bénin. Et comme à l'époque, il n'y avait qu'un pays, et nous avons réussi, maintenant qu'il y a 15 nations et que nous sommes beaucoup plus forts, je ne peux pas imaginer que nous soyons moins forts quand nous sommes plus nombreux. Donc, je suis extrêmement optimiste pour le résultat de cette action de groupe. That's why I'm so optimistic about the result of this class action. So I would like to thank all the ambassadors who worked with us, the kings, and especially the Royal Chamber, because they were quite instrumental in making all these connections. And that is very important to underline. Donc, je voudrais rendre hommage aux ambassadeurs, au roi, aux reines et surtout à la Chambre royale qui a été particulièrement active dans ce dossier. Et la Chambre royale qui est dirigée, bien sûr, comme vous le savez, co-dirigée par la reine Aïdji, qui a été très dynamique dans cette opération avec la vice-première ministre, la reine Windocon. And I have to express my gratitude to Queen Aïdji, the co-chair of the Royal Chamber, Minister of Historical Legacy, who has worked with me, and also she, of course, was with us, and the Vice Prime Minister, Queen Windocon, and I want to express my gratitude to all of them. Thank you very much. Now, let me give the floor back to Minister Tucker.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. And again, to all of you that have joined us from all around the world, We thank you for being here. We're happy to have you. It's good to see your smiling faces, and we will continue on this quest together. At this time, I would like to introduce to you, many of you know who don't, this is one of our backbones in our SOAD, and is Vice Prime Minister Keturah Amako Queen Kandaki Hudakin. She's the Vice Prime Minister of SOAD and Chairperson of the International Commission for Heritage and Culture. At this time, let's welcome our Queen, Queen Keturah. I give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Minister Millie. Welcome to one and all to this International Press Conference for Heritage and Reconquest. It's wonderful for all of you to be here. Thank you. I would like to first acknowledge our Prime Minister, Dr. Louis Georgetin, and our Vice Prime Minister, Hugh Johnson. I would like to acknowledge our President of the Parliament, Melvin Brown. I'd like to acknowledge our Queen IG of the Royal Chamber, and all the kings and queens, the chiefs, the royal dignitaries, to our honourable SOAD government members, to all honourable officials, to all our journalists and medias, our supporters, and the global Pan-African family, all protocols observed. Thank you. My name is Keturah Amwakun, the Vice Prime Minister of the...
For the translation, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Alors, je voudrais faire ça oralement puisque c'est court là. I would like to translate just orally since this is short. C'est la présentation donc de la vice-première ministre, Madame Keturah Moko, qui présente ses salutations à toute l'assistance, à tous ceux qui sont venus, les membres du cabinet, les journalistes et tout le monde ici présent. Alors, voilà ce qu'elle dit. Elle va commencer maintenant son allocution.
My name is Keturah Amwakun, the Vice Prime Minister of the State of the African Diaspora, Kandake Queen Hawindakon of the SOAD Royal Chamber, and the Chairperson of the International Commission for Heritage and Culture.
Alors, elle présente aussi la ministre donc, de l'Héritage, Madame Madame Queen Aiji. Voilà, c'est un élément central donc de ce qui se fait actuellement concernant la restitution ou la reconquête donc des trésors qui ont été volés par les maîtres colons d'antan.
And a little bit about the International Commission. The International Commission for Heritage and Culture is an authorized body of states, nations, indigenous territories, royal kingdoms, NGOs, international human rights lawyers, communities, and individuals, which serves for reparatory justice and remedy for the restitution and return of cultural artifacts, cultural treasures, cultural property, and human remains stolen from Africa and indigenous nations worldwide, particularly but not exclusively looted during the periods of war, colonization, and slavery, and through illegal cultural misappropriation.
Alors, la commission ici internationale, comme le mot le dit, c'est international. Donc, tous les pays qui ont été victimes donc, de cette prédation donc, des colons sont ici pour que nous puissions mener cette action ensemble et qu'on puisse réclamer la restitution de tout ce qui a été volé au cours des guerres, des invasions illicites et illégales.
I would like to express to our distinguished journalists and media here today that in Africa, you would be known as the griots. You are the storytellers, the news bringers, the news bearers, and messengers of news, and the town criers, the ones who impart information, news, and data, and should, for all intents and purposes, deliver truth to the public, the communities, and your nations. You are very, very important and influential people of any society.
Alors, je voudrais saluer la présence ici de tous les hommes et femmes de presse, vous qui êtes venus de partout, donc du continent africain, nous vous saluons, vous méritez tous nos respects, parce que c'est vous les griots, c'est vous qui disséminez les informations très importantes, que ce soit des collectes de dons ou bien des informations cruciales dont on a besoin pour que le village, la ville, tout le pays, les royaumes soient vraiment informés et pour qu'ils soient bien assis, bien installés et à continuer leurs travaux. Nous vous saluons, votre rôle est très important et on ne le soulignera jamais assez.
Today, you will see and hear that nations worldwide are increasingly asserting their rights to reclaim their cultural artifacts and heritage that have been removed from their countries through colonization, looting, or other means. These demands for restitution and repatriation are grounded in principles of cultural preservation, respect for the historical legacy of indigenous communities, and recognition of past injustices. From ancient sculptures to sacred relics, artifacts, and artworks, many countries are actively pursuing the return of these artifacts, aiming to restore their cultural identity and historical heritage. This movement signals a growing global acknowledgement of the importance of cultural heritage in promoting diversity, understanding, and the rich tapestry of human history. Restitution is not only a matter of rightful ownership, but also an endeavor to reconcile historical wrongdoings and injustice.
Alors, le travail que nous faisons ici, c'est un travail très important parce qu'il s'agit quand même de restituer, d'arracher notre identité volée. Il s'agit de rétablir, n'est-ce pas, les origines et puis la véracité et de nos valeurs culturelles. Et c'est très important de le faire. Et puis, les nations le font un peu partout, dans tous les coins du monde, de façon courageuse. Et c'est dans ce cadre que s'inscrit la session de ce jour.
So as part of my presentation to you today, we are at the point of no return. There is nowhere to hide, and the belligerence of Western institutions detaining cultural treasures is certainly coming to an end. And with the assistance of everyone in this conference today, we shall expedite this process of reconquest in a more timely fashion.
Alors, comme vous vous en doutez, nous sommes arrivés à un point de non-retour. Nous devons donc pas précipiter, mais donc tout mettre en œuvre pour que de façon rapide, nous puissions procéder à l'effectivité donc de la reconquête de notre héritage. Il s'agit donc d'un recours collectif, comme le Premier ministre, son Excellence, le docteur Louis Jospin l'a dit, et d'une action de groupe. Et c'est juridique, et c'est légitime, et nous devons mener la lutte ensemble.
So I'm just going to quickly go through this presentation. I don't want to take up too much time. As you will see later on, you will see all the artifacts that are on display. But what I'm to present to you today is not on display, and the very concerns that we are having and which we must address.
Je n'arriverai pas à vous montrer tout ce dont je parlerai, mais il y aura des artefacts quand même que nous allons présenter à l'écran et c'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Mais j'ajouterai des commentaires qui ne sont pas nécessairement dans les sur l'écran, qui ne seront pas nécessairement sur les écrans. Et voilà, alors...
Early reports from travelers to Africa, such as the Englishman Thomas Foxwell Buxton, depicted Africans as ignorant, superstitious, and barbaric. Africans were regarded as unable to govern themselves, needing the oversight of more mature races. These attitudes, even though unspoken today, could be in some way or another still in effect, by virtue that Western institutions believe that African countries cannot take care of their own property, which stands as one of the reasons why they refuse to return our cultural heritage.
Alors, il y a eu des informations donc, qui datent de très longtemps, qui nous sont parvenues des voyageurs, ceux qui sont allés en Afrique, tels que l'anglais Thomas Foxwell Buxton, qui a décrit les Africains comme étant des gens qui sont ignorants, superstitieux et barbares, que des Africains donc étaient considérés comme incapables de se gouverner eux-mêmes et qu'ils ils ont besoin donc de la supervision des races beaucoup plus matures. Ces attitudes, bien que non transmises de façon verbale aujourd'hui, pourraient donc être en train d'être pratiquées. Voilà des attitudes dont les gens peut-être font montre encore aujourd'hui d'une façon ou d'une autre. Alors, en vertu de toutes les institutions donc, occidentales qui croient que les Africains et que tous les pays africains ne peuvent pas se prendre en charge eux-mêmes et s'occuper de tout ce qui tout ce qui représente leur patrimoine, eh bien, voilà l'une des raisons fondamentales pour lesquelles ils refusent de nous retourner, de nous restituer notre héritage culturel.
That said, there is a clear and present danger that is occurring in plain sight. Sorry.
I think the administrator can mute those people. Everybody's mic.
Thank you. That said, there is a clear and present danger that is occurring in plain sight and behind closed doors.
Il va sans dire alors qu'il y a un danger qui, comme l'épée de Damoclès qui plane au-dessus de nos têtes, c'est évident.
Without transparency and global awareness, will continue as it has been doing for decades.
Sans transparence et une prise de conscience globale de par le monde, eh bien, le danger va s'empirer.
These are the main three auction houses, as well as many others, over the course of many decades, have been auctioning indigenous cultural treasures from around the world and even up until today.
Ces noms que vous voyez représentent les noms donc, de trois maisons principales donc, de vente aux enchères de ces patrimoines des populations indigènes. Et cela se passe depuis des années.
They are Christie's, Sotheby's, and Bonhams.
Christie's, Sotheby's, et Bonhams.
On June 6, 2020, in the COVID period, we served a global cease and desist notice on many of the auction houses and museums around the world to cease selling African cultural artifacts. And the urgency of this cease and desist was that an auction was occurring in Paris the next day. We managed to file a motion to the court to halt the auction. However, we did not manage to stay the auction due to a legal technicality.
Alors, j'étais en pleine Covid en 6 juin 2020. Nous avons donc saisi les tribunaux pour demander à ce que la vente aux enchères de nos patrimoines s'estompe, s'arrête immédiatement. Mais pour des raisons de technicalité, il n'y a pas eu un suivi pour une exécution effective.
You can see from this particular auction, the guide price that were listed on these artifacts. These particular artifacts came from the Congo, of which SOAD has the mandate. And as you can see, the price range by which these artifacts were being auctioned at.
Alors, lorsque vous regardez un peu au bas de l'écran, vous avez vu trois exemples d'artefacts qui viennent donc du Congo. Et bien, vous voyez les prix qui sont affichés. Voilà à quel prix se vendent ces artefacts dans ces maisons de vente aux enchères de notre patrimoine.
So you can see, just as an example, lot 55, which was a statue of the Songhai. And that was, the price estimate was $341,622 and between $565,369.
Le premier, vous voyez, le prix, ça varie entre 341 622 dollars américains et 569 369 dollars américains.
So let's quickly look at the past auction sales of many of the items they have already sold.
Maintenant, nous allons jeter un regard rapide sur les artefacts qui avaient déjà été vendus pendant les activités de vente aux enchères passées.
So I'll just quickly flick through. You can have a look on the right-hand side, if it's on the right-hand side of your screen, the price estimate, the price range, and what the price realized. And the price realized is what they actually sold it for, which was between those two figures. So it may not have been 350, it may not have been 500, it was in between of the price realized.
Voilà, donc à droite, vous voyez les coûts estimatifs de ces artefacts. Ce n'est que des exemples. Donc, quand on dit prix effectif, eh bien, ça peut ne pas être le minimum ou quelque chose que vous pouvez lire ici exactement, mais c'est des coûts quand même exorbitants.
So these are from the Congo. Again, we have the mandate. These are from Gabon, of which SOAD has the mandate.
Alors, et ce qu'on vient de présenter, c'est pour le Congo. Eh bien, nous sommes en charge des patrimoines, de la lutte pour reconquérir ce patrimoine. Voilà aussi ce que vous voyez maintenant, ça vient du Gabon.
This is from Benin.
Et ceux-ci sont du Bénin.
This is from Angola. We also have the mandate from Angola.
Nous avons reçu aussi mandat de l'Angola. Et voici un exemple de patrimoine vendu aux enchères déjà.
This is from the Christie's auction. Again, these are from Congo.
Ici, c'est du Congo et puis c'est la maison de vente aux enchères Christie qui s'en est chargée, qui les a vendus.
And this is also from Gabon.
Et ceci est du Gabon.
So our concern is what is not on display. Today,
Et notre préoccupation, c'est ce qu'on n'a pas présenté. Voilà.
I'd just like to bring to your attention, many of you may not know, that there was a documentary called You Hide Me. In 1970, Ghanaian filmmaker Ni Kwate Owu gained access to the British Museum to make this short film about the valuable African artifacts held there and made the case for their restitution. This short film was banned from the UK and Africa, and there is no wonder as to why.
Alors, ce documentaire dont vous n'avez peut-être pas connaissance, eh bien, c'est un film réalisé en 1970 par un Ghanéen cinéaste du nom de Nikwate Owo, qui a pu avoir accès à un musée britannique, et il a réalisé ce court-métrage par rapport donc aux artefacts vraiment de l'Afrique. Mais ça a été interdit non seulement en Grande-Bretagne, mais aussi en Afrique.
An extract of what Ni had seen down there, I'd just like to quickly read it to you because it's quite disturbing. He says, I was shocked, visibly overwhelmed and shaken by what I discovered down there. First, there was this strange and almost mystical aroma emanating from every section of the basement, where hundreds and thousands of rare and sacred artifacts, as far as the eye could see, were being stored. These stolen and looted ancient artifacts, including numerous bronze and other metal statues, big and small, had been hidden and locked up for centuries like a war booty of a conquering colonial army. I became emotional and hard and had to control myself. It was so surreal and unbelievable that it felt as if I had just stepped out of a time machine. 1 minute I was in the present, and the next minute somewhere in the 15th century, in 15th century Africa. In fact, I was really traumatized.
Alors, pour résumer, j'ai été traumatisé. Je commence par la fin. Alors, j'ai été choqué, visiblement étouffé. Je tremblais juste en découvrant tout ce que j'ai vu au bas de l'étage du bâtiment. Premièrement, c'était vraiment étrange, presque mystique, cet arôme qui m'envahissait de cette section donc du soubassement, des milliers, des centaines et des milliers des artefacts aussi rares et sacrés étalés ainsi à perte de vue ces objets qui ont été volés donc des anciens artefacts volés, y compris donc des objets en bronze et d'autres métaux, des statues donc de bronze de toute taille, petites, grandes, etc., avaient été cachées et enfermées comme toute une colonie d'armées qui aurait conquis des esclaves. Eh bien, l'émotion l'a emporté sur mes sentiments. Je ne pouvais plus me contrôler. C'était vraiment surréel. C'était incroyable tout ce que j'ai ressenti. C'est tout comme si j'étais sorti de la machine de temps. Eh bien, dans une minute, je me suis retrouvé dans le présent et la minute qui a suivi au 15e siècle en Afrique. En effet, j'étais traumatisé.
So this is a picture, one of the still pictures that was managed to be recovered from the film.
Voici l'une des images qui ont pu être récupérées de ce film, ce court-métrage.
This is Ni himself in the storehouse.
Voilà Né Kouyaté lui-même, voilà, ce cinéaste ghanéen.
So we would like to now to put out a call to all private collectors. It is now incumbent upon you as private collectors to act with a sense of moral responsibility and empathy. The artifacts that grace your collections are not merely objects of beauty, they are symbols of identity, heritage, spirituality, and pride for the people who have been unjustly deprived of them. It is time to consider the weight of history and the significance of cultural restoration.
Alors, nous devons à présent lancer un appel à ces collectionneurs. Et c'est maintenant notre responsabilité en tant que... et c'est votre responsabilité en tant que collectionneur privé d'agir avec un sens donc de morale et de responsabilité, d'empathie. Et ces artefacts qui, n'est-ce pas, constituent vos collections, ne sont pas simplement des objets de beauté, ce sont des symboles donc d'identité, d'héritage, de patrimoine, de spiritualité, de fierté pour les peuples que vous avez abusé, à qui vous avez volé ces objets. C'est le temps vraiment de jauger le poids de l'histoire et la signification culturelle pour pouvoir restaurer, n'est-ce pas, ces objets volés.
We call upon you to take a bold and unprecedented step to consider the provenance of the artifacts within your collection, and where evidence exists of their unlawful acquisition or historical injustice, engage in dialogue with us. Let us help you towards avenues for restitution and repatriation, whether through negotiation, cooperation, or direct returns to the communities to which these treasures truly belong.
Nous vous invitons à faire le pas décisif, un pas déterminant pour pouvoir vous rendre compte de la provenance de ces artefacts que vous avez collectionnés. Et l'évidence, les preuves existent, les preuves de leur illégalité, l'illégalité donc de l'acquisition et de l'injustice historique que cela constitue. Nous vous interpellons pour que vous puissiez vous engager dans un dialogue franc avec nous. Nous pouvons vous aider, n'est-ce pas, à arriver à cette destination que nous appelons la restitution et la repatriation, le rapatriement, j'allais dire, que ce soit à travers des négociations, coopérations ou bien des retours, des restitutions directes à ces communautés qui sont véritablement les propriétaires de ces trésors, parce que c'est à elles que ces trésors appartiennent.
In doing so, you have the opportunity to rectify a historical wrong, to foster international goodwill, and to contribute to a global cultural tapestry that celebrates diversity, respect, and unity. Your actions have the power to enrich not only the lives of those who have long yearned for the return of their heritage, but also the collective conscience of our world.
En un mot, cela faisant, vous aurez eu l'opportunité de corriger cette erreur, ce mal historique que vous avez commis. Eh bien, ce sera la manifestation d'une bonne volonté internationale et qui contribuerait, n'est-ce pas, à célébrer la diversité, le respect et l'unité que nous devons réaliser à travers le monde. Vos actions ont la capacité donc d'enrichir non seulement les vies de ceux qui toujours aspirent, espèrent le retour, s'attendent au retour de leur patrimoine, mais aussi, eh bien, la conscience collective de notre monde.
We urge you to be a part of this transformative narrative, to stand on the side of justice and to return stolen artifacts for the sake of cultural restoration and a more inclusive, just and compassionate world.
Nous vous invitons donc à faire partir de ce narratif transformatif pour rester droit dans vos bottes du côté de la justice, pour que ces artefacts volés puissent être restitués et pour que nous ayons un monde beaucoup plus inclusif, de justice restaurée et la compassion, que ça devienne une réalité dans notre monde.
We further make this call to the private collectors of ancient treasures of African indigenous peoples to play a pivotal role in shaping the art and antiquities market because their choices have far-reaching consequences. It is of paramount importance that collectors collectively recognize the moral obligation to cease purchasing stolen artifacts. The demand for such items perpetuates the illegal trade, supporting looting, theft, and the illicit removal of cultural treasures from their rightful origins. By refusing to engage in transactions involving stolen artifacts, private collectors can be powerful agents of change, promoting ethical practices and contributing to the preservation of cultural heritage. Please let us join together in this commitment to uphold the integrity and respect of culture, protect the identities of nations, and ensure that art and antiquities are valued for their historical and cultural significance, not the unjust circumstances of their acquisition.
Eh bien, en plus, nous avons lancé cet appel aux collectionneurs et nous les supplions de bien vouloir se joindre à nous dans cet engagement, donc de maintenir l'intégrité, le respect de la culture, de protéger les identités des nations et de s'assurer que l'art et tous les artefacts antiques de se rendre compte que ces artefacts vraiment ont de prix, ont de valeur, leur valeur historique, leur valeur, leur signification culturelle, et non s'associer à ce qui se fait dans des circonstances donc injustes quant à leur acquisition.
Any private collectors which come forward to champion this initiative, this international community would express its gratitude by presenting them with a certificate of noble recognition jointly from the kingdoms to which the artifacts belong, the state of the African diaspora, and all other stakeholders. This noble gesture would send a very loud signal to the institutions around the world detaining stolen artifacts that you no longer condone the illicit sale of antiquities, which will eventually bring an end to this abhorrent and offensive practice.
Alors, tous les collectionneurs donc privés qui vont avoir le courage de sortir de l'ombre pour joindre ce combat que nous menons, cette initiative, eh bien, l'arène de la communauté internationale, eh bien, on vous exprimera notre gratitude en vous délivrant un certificat donc de reconnaissance qui vraiment a une valeur noble. Eh bien, cela viendra des royaumes à qui appartiennent ces artefacts. Ça viendra aussi de l'État de la diaspora et d'autres qui, n'est-ce pas, ont des intérêts concernés. Alors, ce geste noble, eh bien, enverra un message clair et haut et fort, n'est-ce pas, toutes les institutions à travers le monde qui ont toujours gardé ces artefacts, qui, n'est-ce pas, ne sont pas à vendre. Et là, ce sera votre façon de dire que vous condamnez la vente illicite de ces artefacts qui, en dernier ressort, cette vente doit cesser pour que cette pratique vraiment qui est une attaque à ces communautés culturelles s'arrête.
So I'd just like to show you one wonderful art collector who had returned an artifact back to Benin. This is Mark Walker outside of the Oba Palace in Benin, in Nigeria, in now Edo State in Nigeria, posing with one of the two statues that he returned to Nigeria after having been looted over 117 years ago by his ancestor, Captain Herbert Walker, during the 1897 punitive expedition. And this has opened the door to many requests for other stolen works, treasures, artifacts to be repatriated, and we are continuing that mission today.
Alors, voici un exemple, l'exemple d'un collectionneur qui a retourné un artefact et il répond au nom de Mark Walker. Voilà, et le voici juste en dehors du palais de Oba au Bénin, dans l'état d'Edo. C'est ça, c'est au Nigeria. Alors, il a pris cette photo de deux artefacts, deux statues qu'il a retournées. Eh bien, ce sont des statues qui ont été volées il y a bientôt 117 ans par ses ancêtres, capitaine Herbert Walker, au cours de l'expédition punitive de 1897. Et puis, ceci a ouvert la porte à plusieurs requêtes pour réclamer donc des objets d'art, les trésors, artefacts volés, et donc pour que ces artefacts soient rapatriés.
So in conclusion, we are always looking to continue the action. So the State of the African Diaspora has the mandate, as we said, from many countries: Benin, Gabon, South Africa, Uganda, Congo, Liberia, Chad, Zimbabwe, Guinea, etc., etc. The International Commission of Heritage and Culture is a rapidly growing, powerful international body and coalition of states, kingdoms, indigenous nations, NGOs, lawyers, communities, and individuals. We will be writing to the relevant authorities and institutions, number one, that the ban is immediately removed from the You Hide Me documentary, and number two, that the State of the African Diaspora, the International Commission for Heritage and Culture, the countries and nations, experts, lawyers, and other African curator experts and specialists join together with each Western country's governing council or national body responsible for cultural heritage to form commissions to directly commence to discuss making available access to all the underground storage facilities within the UK, US, Europe, and elsewhere in the world, detaining and hiding these works of art, and work towards the liberation and return of these thousands of stolen items, which have no use or consequence to the public at large, nor their institutions, and recognize the clear and inherent danger of these items being illegally sold at auctions. We will be requesting their full and immediate cooperation.
En conclusion, l'état de la diaspora africaine, le monde donc du Bénin, du Gabon, de l'Afrique du Sud, de l'Ouganda, de la République, de la RDC, République démocratique du Congo, Libéria, Tchad, Zimbabwe, la Guinée, l'Angola et beaucoup d'autres encore sont sur la liste d'attente. Eh bien, la Commission internationale du patrimoine culturel est en train de grandir, de multiplier ses actions et de se renforcer dans une coalition donc des États et des royaumes et des nations indigènes, des organisations non gouvernementales et des avocats, des communautés et individus. Eh bien, nous allons écrire bientôt aux autorités et institutions suivantes. Premièrement, pour que, n'est-ce pas, l'interdiction soit levée immédiatement de diffuser ou de publier ce documentaire de Aniquité, You Hide Me, vous me cachez. Et deuxièmement, pour que l'État de la diaspora africaine, la Commission internationale pour, n'est-ce pas, en charge du patrimoine culturel des pays et nations, des experts, des avocats et d'autres conservateurs, d'autres experts conservateurs africains et spécialistes, eh bien, joignent leurs efforts, mutualisent leurs efforts pour que chaque pays occidental eh bien, puisse se rendre compte du mal qu'ils ont fait, qu'ils puissent former alors aussi des commissions pour qu'ils commencent à discuter, à débattre de cette question qui doit aboutir à la mise à disposition de tout ce qui est sous terre, tous les lieux de conservation de ces objets volés, s'ils sont, n'est-ce pas, en Grande-Bretagne, aux États-Unis, en Europe et partout ailleurs dans le monde, tous ceux-là qui détiennent illégalement les objets d'art et que l'on puisse libérer et retourner ces milliers d'objets volés, eh bien, et nous n'avons pas, il n'y aura pas de conséquences au public, il n'y aura pas de conséquences au public en général, non aux institutions, et nous devons reconnaître le danger imminent et qui est évident que ces artefacts, ces objets volés et vendus aux enchères constituent tout ce que ça constitue comme illégalité. Alors, nous demandons leur coopération et de façon immédiate.
Thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry that it was a bit longer than the 5 minutes, but it was very important that we delivered this message to you all, and this presentation will be available to our journalists and medias. Thank you very much for your attention.
Merci pour votre attention. Nous, pour le temps que cela a pris, plus de 5 minutes de toute façon, nous allons donc livrer tout ce que nous avons à la presse, ici présent, la presse internationale. Merci une fois encore.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Prime Minister, for the informative and thorough explanations. I don't know about you, but I am happy to see that those artifacts and our cultural heritage representing so many things of our culture are being pursued, and it helps to identify who we are and where we came from. And so thank you again, Queen Keturah, for the very thorough and explanation. I hope you all are enjoying this presentation, this conference, as we all are. To those that have just joined us, I thank you for putting your name and association and your country in the chat. Please continue to do so. We're not omitting anyone. We just don't have knowledge and the time to acknowledge everyone, but all protocols observed. We are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. At this time, I'd like to bring to you our own Queen Ajee. She's the Minister of Historical Legacy of SOAD and co-chair of the Royal Chamber of SOAD. And please, I'd just like to remind you, all presentations are 5 minutes. We have a long way to go, and we are learning and we're happy, but let's remember our time frame. Thank you. At this time, I present our Honorable, Your Excellency, Queen Ajee. I give you the floor.
Alors, je dois remercier la reine Amoko pour cette brillante présentation. Je ne sais pas ce que vous autres, vous avez ressenti, mais moi, j'ai vraiment eu des frissons, l'immensité de tout ce que a été volé de nos ancêtres. Ce patrimoine et cette lutte que nous menons est une lutte donc juste. La cause est noble. Merci, Madame la reine Amoko, pour cette brillante présentation. Quant aux autres, eh bien, nous voulons accueillir tout le monde, mais veuillez écrire vos noms et prénoms et l'organisation que vous représentez. Et cela nous permet donc d'attester, de reconnaître de votre présence et d'en tenir compte. À présent, nous passons la parole à la reine Haïti, qui est notre ministre donc du patrimoine culturel. Alors, veuillez recevoir avec moi et chaleureusement la reine Haïti.
A quick reminder,
Alors,
if you're
juste
not
quelques mots.
seriously Queen Ajee,
Oui, juste quelques mots, excusez-moi. Monsieur Baloubi, est-ce que vous pourriez peut-être faire comme prévu justement après, à partir de maintenant, disons, le résumé dans le chat, comme ça on va gagner un peu de temps.
Voilà,
Et je
d'accord.
ne sais pas en quelle langue la reine va parler, mais on peut faire le résumé dans l'autre langue, comme ça
Voilà,
on va
d'accord.
gagner un peu de temps. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Baloubi.
D'accord, je vous en prie.
Merci de me...
Queen Aji, one moment. If you are not speaking, please mute your mics. Thank you. Queen Aji, go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just say before I begin that it was necessary for our Vice Prime Minister Kandake to give all these informations, and I do thank her. And mine is short. I have got really one page and the translation. So I go. I do recognize His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Louis George Dean and congratulate him. He was awarded a honorary doctorate in social and humanitarian studies. I do recognize our Vice Prime Minister Kandake Huindokon, the Vice Prime Minister Mr. Hugh Johnson. I do recognize each and every queens, kings, traditional chiefs, princes, princesses present here. Greetings to the President of Parliament, Mr. Melville Brown, and national presidents, to our ministers, ambassadors, MPs, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to all of you. I will say it in French now. Je reconnais son Excellence le Premier ministre, le docteur
Non, c'est
Louis
pas la peine,
Georges.
c'est pas la peine, parce que Monsieur Baloubi va faire le résumé dans le chat.
Oh, ok, dans le
Comme
chat.
ça, on gagne un peu de temps, oui.
Ok.
Merci.
So it is the second time that the Royal Chamber supports the SOAD for his action in restitution. The Prime Minister's missions since Le CRAN, the Association for Defense and Rights of the Black People, has been to boost the restitution of African artifacts to their owners. Restitution is part of VPM Amoako Queen Kandake Huindokon portfolio, but also mine as Queen IG, Minister of Historical Legacy and co-chair of the Royal Chamber of SOAD. Together, we joined forces to help the Prime Minister in his honorable and necessary mission. As you know, the Royal Chamber was created in 2021 by decree of the Prime Minister. We have got two co-chairs, Chief Charumbira, President of the Pan-African Parliament, and myself. We have got 6 vice chairs for the 6 regions of Africa. They are in Benin, South Africa, Uganda, Libya, Haiti, and Congo. We have got a chancellor and a secretary general to complete this team of direction for the SOAD Royal Chamber. We have got delegates and contacts in the 54 countries of Africa and everywhere in the world. And if the journalist wants to have more information, I am available. We have got 20 associations of kings and chiefs from Africa and the diaspora. And yes, they are in the SOAD Royal Chamber. The queens, kings, traditional chiefs play a key role when it comes to asking restitution. The stolen artifacts belonged to the kingdoms, to their ancestors, to our ancestors. Requesting restitutions of the artifacts stolen to our ancestors is the best commemoration ever made in memory of our ancestors. As I am connected to kingdoms in all countries, it is easy for me to help organize and succeed in this second session of restitution. In the Royal Chamber, Department of Royal Affairs, in the Department for Missions, we work on tourism projects related to the slave route. We are descendants of captives taken to the trade. My mission in my ministry and our mission in SOAD is to link African descents to Africa and to the kingdoms. My role is to reinforce Africa through the diaspora and to reinforce the diaspora through Africa, because we are one big family separated since slavery. I do talk every day to the kingdoms to emphasize reconnection and prepare reconciliation between all of us. Peace and love should be our leitmotif and prayers. More kings and countries are already on the list for our next restitution session. Asking for restitution is of more importance with the support of all these associations, kings and traditional chiefs, whom I would like here to thank. I will end by saying that with such a number of associations and federations, and each of them being by themselves sometimes a royal chamber, SOAD's royal chamber is an umbrella, a supreme royal chamber. I do offer my love and blessings to all of you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, dear Queen. Thank you. And I have to confirm that the Royal Chamber was more than instrumental in all of that. Je peux confirmer que la Chambre royale a été plus que décisive dans ce processus. So now we're going to start with the presentations of individual countries. We are starting with the Francophone countries. Therefore, the speakers will speak each 5 minutes, and the summary will be made in the chat, of course, in English. Et donc, nous allons commencer les présentations individuelles pays par pays. Et les résumés, on commence par les pays francophones. Et donc, les résumés se feront en anglais dans le chat grâce à M. Baloubi, que je remercie une fois de plus. Alors, nous allons commencer avec le Bénin. Et j'ai le grand honneur d'accueillir ici M. Ange Nkwe, ancien ministre de la Culture, qui nous avait donné mandat pour mettre en place ces actions de restitution et qui est aujourd'hui conseiller du président Talon. Et pendant qu'il va faire sa présentation, je vais moi-même partager le dossier de presse en montrant quelques exemples d'artefacts volés au Bénin et détenus encore en France. Parce que tout n'a pas été rendu loin de là. So I'm going to give the floor to the former Minister of Culture in Benin, Mr. Ange Kwe, now advisor of the President, and he's the one who gave us the mandate. Thank you very much. Merci encore, Monsieur Nkwe, Excellence. Je vous en prie. Alors, n'hésitez pas à activer votre micro. Alors, Monsieur Nkwe, alors vous devez activer votre micro. Alors, j'ai l'impression qu'il a été déconnecté du coup. I'm afraid he's been disconnected. He was there and he disappeared. Okay, well, we will continue.
Allô?
So,
Bonjour.
oui, on vous entend. Oui?
Bonjour, Excellence. Ici,
Monsieur Bokassa, oui.
oui, ici, nous sommes avec le professeur Ibongue, qui est en direct.
D'accord, alors très bien, je vais le présenter.
Oui.
So we will start, in fact, now because Mr. Ange Nkwe is disconnected. We will start with DRC, and we received the mandate from the former Minister of Arts and Culture, Mr. Yves Bunzulukola, and now the head of cabinet, the head of staff of the Minister of Culture, of this now government, is with us, Mr. Ipongo, and I would like to give the floor to him. Donc nous donnons la parole, pardon, à Monsieur Ipongo, qui est le chef de cabinet du ministre de la Culture en RDC, et c'est l'ancien ministre de la Culture qui nous avait donné le mandat, Monsieur Yves Bunkuluzola. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Ipongo, vraiment, nous vous remercions, Excellence.
Comme ça.
Merci. Bonjour à tous.
Nous vous entendons, allez-y.
Effectivement, je suis le professeur Ibongo, directeur art et patrimoine de la République démocratique du Congo.
Vous pouvez y aller, on vous entend. Allô, professeur Ipongo? Oui, professeur?
Oui, la communication. Oui, vous m'entendez?
Là, maintenant, on vous entend, oui.
Oui, et donc je disais que je suis historien d'art de l'Université catholique de Louvain. Je suis spécialiste de l'art contemporain, la peinture populaire. Et j'ai eu un parcours essentiellement à l'Institut des musées nationaux du Congo, que j'ai dirigé pendant près de 12 ans, c'est-à-dire de 2006 à 2018. Et pendant mon parcours, j'ai pu réaliser des choses intéressantes allant dans le sens de la promotion, d'abord de la conservation et de la promotion du patrimoine, notamment le fait que j'ai été l'initiateur d'un gros projet qui est devenu maintenant Musée national de la République démocratique du Congo, musée que nous avons construit avec la Corée du Sud, un projet qui avait commencé depuis 2011, grâce au contact que nous avons eu avec le ministre coréen des Affaires étrangères, qui avait visité pour la première fois les collections nationales et ayant vu la richesse que regorge notre pays, la richesse patrimoniale, mais malheureusement aussi ayant constaté les conditions assez mauvaises dans lesquelles le patrimoine a été conservé, nous avons eu l'idée, un projet de construire un musée. Et les travaux qui commenceront dès 2012 jusqu'à fin de 2017 et ont terminé en 2018 pour l'inaugurer en 2019. Et voilà donc, et puis j'ai eu à développer un réseau muséal à travers le pays, dans l'arrière-pays notamment, où j'ai ouvert un certain nombre de musées avec objectif d'avoir des musées de proximité. Malheureusement, on n'est pas parvenu à avoir dans chaque chef-lieu de province un musée, mais l'essentiel est que l'on a ouvert un parcours de pouvoir organiser des musées dans les provinces, et notamment dans l'arrière-pays. Parce que la ville de Kinshasa n'est pas tout le Congo, et d'ailleurs, on est loin d'avoir des grands musées dans ce pays. Et donc, c'est un projet important qui va se poursuivre dans, dans les années qui viennent, le programme étant de vouloir promouvoir le patrimoine. Alors maintenant, je suis directeur de cabinet du ministère de la Culture et des Arts depuis avril 2022. Nous avons dans ce sens un programme important également, celui de poursuivre le travail de la promotion de la culture dans ce pays. Et nous sommes en train de vouloir faire douter ce pays d'une politique culturelle. Et aujourd'hui, clôturer un atelier, un projet de loi sur les arts, la culture et le patrimoine. Nous avons également le projet de loi sur les droits d'auteur et sur la production littéraire et autres. Mais en même temps, nous pensons aussi, dans les jours qui viennent, organiser un forum national sur la culture à la demande du chef de l'État. Voilà un petit peu les chantiers que nous avons pour l'instant, outre le fait qu'évidemment, nous avons ces gros projets de la restitution des biens culturels. Et je pense que nous pouvons aborder le sujet en ayant d'abord écouté les autres. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre.
Merci beaucoup, Excellence, et je vais profiter pour montrer à l'écran. Donc d'une part, je crois qu'on le voit à l'écran, hein, d'une part le mandat que nous avons reçu du ministère de la Culture, et d'autre part quelques exemples de trésors qui appartiennent à la RDC. Vous voyez ici ce masque sanglier qui est au British Museum. Il n'y a pas que en Belgique. Vous avez un autre masque ici au British Museum, ou cette femme assise au Metropolitan Museum. Donc ça fait partie des pays, bien sûr, auxquels nous avons écrit pour leur demander la restitution des trésors du Congo. Merci encore, Excellence, et je remercie vous ainsi que le ministre qui vous a mandaté pour venir parler et nous accompagner dans cette classe action. Merci encore.
Merci beaucoup.
Alors, je vais continuer avec le Bénin. Tout à l'heure, nous étions avec Monsieur Ange Nkwe, son Excellence Ange Nkwe. Je crois qu'il est avec nous et que son micro est réparé. Monsieur Nkwe, est-ce que vous pouvez prendre la parole?
Oui, j'espère que je me fais entendre cette
Ah, là,
fois-ci.
on vous entend, vous entend. So now we are
Ok,
back.
merci.
Mr. Ange Nkwe, the former Minister of
Merci.
Culture of Benin, who is the one who gave us a mandate. And while he will be speaking, I will share the document, the mandate, and some examples of artifacts. Donc pendant que Monsieur Nkwe va parler, je présenterai le mandat d'une part, que lui-même nous avait adressé, et quelques objets qui sont encore en France et qu'il faut restituer. Monsieur Nkwe, Excellence, je vous en prie, prenez la parole.
Merci, Excellence Louis-Georges Tin. Et salut à tous les participants en vos rangs, grades et qualités. Je me présente au nom de Nkwe Ange, ancien ministre du Tourisme et de la Culture de la République du Bénin, actuellement chargé de mission du président de la République. Au cours de mon séjour à la tête de ce ministère, j'ai donné un mandat à son Excellence Louis-Georges Tin, président du CRAN et désormais Premier ministre de la diaspora africaine, au fin de mener les négociations nécessaires avec les pairs des missions africaines pour le retour des biens culturels du Bénin détenus à Lyon, en France. Un objet culturel, selon la définition tirée de Google, qu'il soit symbolique ou matériel, que son statut soit esthétique, scientifique, idéologique ou technique, est le résultat d'un travail psychique d'élaboration et de création d'un ou plusieurs sujets pour lesquels il vaut comme processus et produit de sublimation. Et pour dire plus court, ces œuvres qui se trouvent dans les musées des pays riches ne sont pas nos matières premières, mais des produits finis de nos ancêtres. Comme l'a si bien dit le président Mobutu Sese Seko Ngbenou Wazabanga, ancien président des Zaïre, dans son allocution à la 28e Assemblée générale des Nations unies le 4 octobre 1973. Alors, ces œuvres parlent de l'histoire du Bénin, de son idéologie, de ses mœurs, bref, de ses us et coutumes. Elles portent en elles-mêmes la marque de nos âmes, car pour la plupart, elles sont sacrées. Par quelle alchimie ces œuvres se retrouvent-elles en Europe? Sont-elles acquises de façon honnête? Ne l'ont-elles pas été pour la plupart par la force, l'intimidation et la transformation de notre logiciel mental par les religieux pendant les différentes guerres d'occupation de nos territoires? Que cherchent certains de ces objets déclarés hier sataniques par les religieux, mais aux prêtres des missions africaines à Lyon et aujourd'hui au musée de Confluence, au musée des Confluences? Le clergé béninois, en son temps, avait été sollicité par mes soins pour le retour de ces œuvres d'art. C'est le lieu de les féliciter pour leur ouverture d'esprit, à travers leurs lettres écrites à l'endroit du père conservateur des œuvres qui était détenu en ce temps-là à Lyon. C'est dans ce même registre qu'un mandat avait été donné à M. Louis-Georges Tin, président du CRAN international, car en pareille situation, l'union de tous les potentiels négociateurs requises afin d'optimiser la pression sur les structures détentrices de ces objets qui voient à travers leur institution une perte financière énorme parce que source de réduction du flux touristique. La réclamation de ces objets a commencé il y a très longtemps, puisque déjà en 1973, le président Mobutu l'avait fait à l'Assemblée générale des Nations unies, mais malheureusement sans succès. L'union fait la force, dit-on, et c'est ici le lieu pour tous les pays spoliés par ces puissances de s'unir avec les institutions internationales soucieuses du bien fondé de cette lutte pour le retour définitif de tous les objets d'art des pays colonisateurs vers les pays colonisés. C'est pourquoi nous soutenons cette action de groupe qui rassemble plus d'une dizaine de nations africaines. La France, un des plus grands pays pilleurs des objets d'art de leur colonie, n'avait-elle pas, à peine la Seconde Guerre mondiale terminée, aussitôt œuvré pour le retour de leurs œuvres d'art emportées par les nazis avant toutes autres considérations? Vivement que notre solidarité soit le ferment du retour de nos biens culturels. Merci aux divers présidents africains qui ont compris l'enjeu et qui ont initié les diverses demandes de retour de nos objets d'art et culturels. Merci au docteur Louis-Georges Tin et à tout le gouvernement de la diaspora pour les luttes implacables qu'ils mènent pour l'égalité de chances au développement culturel de tous les pays et pour cette action de groupe en matière de restitution qui est une initiative tout à fait sans précédent. Je vous remercie à vous tous les participants, et que le meilleur soit.
Merci encore beaucoup, Monsieur le ministre, Excellence. Je vous remercie encore de la confiance. Je voulais savoir si Monsieur le traducteur, Monsieur Baloubi, a pu partager les contenus. Monsieur Baloubi, est-ce que vous m'entendez? Ah, vous êtes sur votre micro est désactivé. Ah, Monsieur Baloubi? Let me verify if Mr. Baloubi is still with us.
Yes.
Mr. Baloubi, did you have the opportunity to share the summaries in the chat?
Yes, I just did.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. So we are very grateful to Gabon. Gabon will be next, but to Benin and to the Minister of Tourism and Culture, the former minister, Mr. Angène Koué. Donc vraiment, je tiens encore à exprimer toute ma gratitude à l'ancien ministre de la Culture, qui est encore conseiller du président, Monsieur Nkoué. C'est grâce à vos excellences que les choses ont pu démarrer, je tiens à le dire. Et le retour des trésors d'Abomey n'aurait jamais pu se faire sans vous. Je crois qu'il faut le dire publiquement. So the return of the treasures of Abomey could never happen without Minister Nkwe. Thank you very much. Now, let me give the floor to the next speaker from Madagascar, Prince Kamami. Je donne la parole au prochain intervenant, le prince Kamami, ambassadeur de l'État de la diaspora. Excellence, vous pouvez prendre la parole.
Oui, bonsoir à tous. Comme a dit Monsieur le Premier ministre, je m'appelle Joe Kamami. Je suis en même temps l'ambassadeur d'histoire de Madagascar et puis le descendant du roi Touer. Le roi Touer était un du roi, de mes ancêtres, qui était décapité pendant la période coloniale, qui est ici à Madagascar. Ça fait, disons, 126 ans. Et de dire que c'est volé par les colons et qui était amené au musée de l'homme à Paris jusqu'au jour où on parle. Et quand la famille que je représente, quand la famille m'a aidé de faire tous les agencements vis-à-vis la musée de l'homme, on a décidé, le musée nous a proposé de faire l'attestat d'ADN par rapport à ce crâne. Et là, on a amené quelques ossements du roi, de son tombeau, et amené vers Paris pour faire le test ADN. Et les résultats du test ADN, on n'a pas bien compris parce que ce sont eux-mêmes qui font les tests et ce sont eux-mêmes qui donnent les résultats. Et ils ont dit, par rapport à la test ADN, que la quantité d'ADN des ossements de Madagascar était trop faible, alors il est difficile de faire la comparaison. Mais quand même, vu par rapport à son histoire, on a bien prouvé que les crânes sont celui du roi. En fait, c'est comme qu'il indique dans les photos que le Premier ministre nous montre, c'est déjà écrit le Sakalava. Le Sakalava, il n'y a que le Sakalava ici à Madagascar. Alors, on est ici travailler avec la SWAD, parce que, comme on dit, que l'union fait la force, et la famille donne l'autorité à SWAD pour continuer et aider la famille à faire le rapatriement de ce crâne. Il y a d'autres deux crânes qui étaient avec le roi. Ces deux adjoints qui étaient décapités avec lui aussi en 1890, qui sont tous au Musée de l'Homme à Paris. Et maintenant, on espère bien parce que vous voyez, si vous pouvez imaginer le corps ici alors que la tête est au Paris, qui nous rend malheureux, qui nous rend la famille malheureux, et qui donne toujours des problèmes par rapport à nos pays, à nos régions, surtout à notre culture des Sakala de Minabé. Alors, on est ici pour vouloir votre aide de convaincre l'État français de faire la restitution de ces trois crânes-là, qui est très important par rapport à nos ici à Madrid. Ça, je pense que c'est tout. Merci de m'avoir donné la parole.
La communication n'est pas bonne.
Merci beaucoup, Prince Kamami. Nous sommes très heureux d'être avec vous et que vous soyez avec nous pour la restitution des restes humains de votre ancêtre. Donc, c'est effectivement un enjeu extraordinaire. Merci encore. Thank you to Prince Kamami, who received a mandate from the family, the royal family, to operate on their behalf for restitution of the human remains of King Etwera. Thank you very much. Alors,
Merci.
Merci. Je vais passer la parole au Tchad. Je crois que le représentant du Tchad est avec nous. Alors, je ne sais pas s'il m'entend. Alors, c'est Monsieur Pierre Ngolsou.
Monsieur Pierre. Allô. Oui, je suis en ligne.
Ah, très bien. Alors, Monsieur Ngolsou est le conseiller juridique du président de l'Association des autorités coutumières et traditionnelles du Tchad. So, I'm giving the floor to Mr. Ngolsou, who is the advisor of the president of the Association of Authorities, Traditional Authorities of Tchad. Thank you very much, Excellence. Je vous en prie, prenez la parole. Nous sommes extrêmement reconnaissants à Sa Majesté et à vous-même de participer à cette action de groupe. Je vous en prie.
Merci beaucoup et à tous, c'est un tout honneur. Sa Majesté juste à côté de moi. Je vais lui passer la parole pour vous adresser ses salutations avant que je reprenne la parole. Je vous remercie et je lui passe le micro.
Merci. Nous avons très bien suivi tout ce qui est en train d'être fait par les partenaires de la diaspora. Et je pense que cela rehausse, disons, l'image même du peuple noir. Et je pense que ce qui est en train d'être fait est très important. La restitution, disons, des patrimoines de nos peuples représente, disons, un bien immatériel que vous êtes en train de faire pour que ça réintègre, disons, les communautés, disons, d'origine. Et donc, nous vous sommes d'une très grande reconnaissance et nous pensons que cela permettra véritablement d'enrichir, disons, nos musées et faire en sorte que les prétendus peuples qui disaient que l'Afrique n'a pas de culture, c'est faux, puisqu'ils ont pillé, disons, tout ce qui nous appartenait pour les envoyer chez eux. Donc, c'est une très bonne chose. Donc, nous vous sommes d'une très grande reconnaissance et nous vous remercions amplement par rapport à tout ce qui est en train d'être fait pour le peuple noir, pour le peuple africain. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Majesté. Nous sommes vraiment honorés que
Tout à fait.
l'Association des autorités coutumières traditionnelles du Tchad ait rejoint l'action de groupe et l'ensemble des pays qui sont représentés. Donc vraiment, c'est un honneur pour nous. Je ne sais pas si votre conseiller veut
Oui.
aussi dire quelques mots.
Bien sûr. Je dirais deux mots à la suite de Sa Majesté. La première chose que nous avons notée, c'est que le Tchad possède 9296 objets d'art qui se trouvent hors de lui. Ça, ce n'est que ce qui a été présenté par le rapport de Felwine Sarr. Mais à côté de ça, nous avons pu identifier quelque chose de très important, c'est l'art Sao, qui se trouve dans la région du Tchad, où ils ont construit de grandes murailles. Voilà un de l'art Sao qui est présenté avec des objets d'art. Et nous savons, pour le Tchad, les Sao représentent ce que les Français appellent nos ancêtres les Gaulois. Nous aussi, c'est ça les ancêtres du Tchad qui étaient pendant longtemps pour nous. Maintenant, pourquoi c'est important pour nous de donner le mandat au gouvernement de la communauté? Voilà, si vous avez là, par exemple, la tête de Sao qui était construite parce que les Sao sont des gens qui ont eu la main dans la céramique. Donc, ils faisaient beaucoup de poteries et les bronzes, les fers, etc. étaient des choses qu'ils pratiquaient. Ils pratiquaient également l'agriculture et la pêche. Pourquoi nous avons pu donner ce mandat? Parce que nous savons que la Chine et l'Algérie, quand ils avaient demandé qu'on leur restitue leurs biens, on n'avait pas évoqué de questions de droit. Et quand le rapport Felwine Sarr était fini, depuis, nous attendions purement et simplement la restitution de nos biens et non les tergiversations juridiques en disant ouais, il y a des questions de droit, mais pourquoi pour la Chine, il n'y avait pas eu question de droit? Pour l'Algérie, il n'y a pas eu question de droit. Et quand il s'agit maintenant à nous autres peuples noirs, on pense qu'il y a des problèmes de droit, alors nous pensons que ce n'est pas possible. Ces gens n'aiment que le rapport de force. Et c'est pour ça que tous ensemble, si nous unissons nos efforts et nos forces, nous allons donc les vaincre pour que tous nos biens culturels nous soient restitués. Et c'est pour ça que ce mandat est donné et nous vous soutenons très fortement. Et à chaque fois qu'il y a une action, nous nous tenons prêts pour mener le combat qu'il faut. Voilà un peu ce que le Tchad, à travers ce que Sa Majesté a dit, je voudrais compléter. Je vous remercie.
Merci vraiment, monsieur le conseiller. C'était extrêmement important, effectivement, que vous le disiez. Donc, je tiens à remercier véritablement, solennellement, les autorités du Tchad que vous représentez d'être avec nous, puisque dans la classe action, nous avons ou les gouvernements ou les autorités traditionnelles, les deux sont légitimes, et je crois que les rois sont même encore plus légitimes, puisque c'est à eux que tout cela appartenait historiquement. Donc, merci encore, et nous sommes honorés. Alors, après le Tchad, je crois que nous allons pouvoir passer à la Guinée. Alors, est-ce que les représentants de la Guinée sont là? J'ai vu Monsieur Cissé, mais est-ce qu'il y a Monsieur Diarawa et Madame Aïssata Touré? Alors, est-ce que la Guinée est représentée? Alors, si vous êtes là, prenez la parole et n'oubliez pas de mettre votre micro, d'activer votre micro.
Commencer, puisqu'il était en train de causer là. Nous ne pouvons aussi causer.
Alors, Monsieur Cissé, est-ce que vous savez si les conseillers du ministre sont avec nous dans la salle en ce moment?
Oui, au moment de ma connexion, j'ai vu toutes les deux personnes étaient connectées.
Alors, je crois que je les vois. Effectivement, mais c'est le micro qui est... Alors, est-ce que vous pouvez activer le micro, euh, Monsieur Diawara et Madame Touré?
Allô?
Ah, voilà. Voilà, là maintenant on
Allô,
vous entend. Voilà, on
alors
vous
bonsoir
entend.
à Monsieur le Premier ministre,
Alors, je vais vous
bonsoir
présenter
à tous les...
brièvement. Alors, merci d'être là. Je vous présente brièvement. Donc, je disais qu'en effet, le ministre de la Culture et des Arts de la République de Guinée nous a fait l'amitié et l'honneur de rejoindre l'action de groupe et il a désigné deux conseillers qui sont ici avec nous. J'ai nommé Monsieur Mamadi Diarara, le chef de division patrimoine culturel, et Madame Aïssata Touré, chargée d'études à la division du patrimoine historique, qui tous deux vont présenter les raisons pour lesquelles la Guinée donne mandat à l'État de la diaspora et rejoint le mouvement général panafricain. Merci, Excellence.
Alors, merci et bonsoir à Monsieur le Premier ministre, bonsoir à tous les participants. Et nous commençons par vous transmettre les cordiales et sincères salutations de Monsieur Alpha Souma, ministre de la Culture, du Tourisme et de l'Artisanat. Par rapport à la conférence de presse et par rapport au mandat, c'est seulement le samedi passé que nous avons reçu une esquisse de mandat de Monsieur le Premier ministre qu'on a eu à transmettre, à soumettre à l'appréciation de Monsieur le ministre de la Culture pour signature. Mais comme vous savez, c'est une action nationale, c'est une action gouvernementale et le ministre doit faire une communication sur ce dossier demain en conseil interministériel pour avoir l'aval des membres du gouvernement et de Monsieur le Président de la République, chef de la transition, chef suprême des armées. C'est pour dire ici que la Guinée est dans la dynamique de restitution de son patrimoine qui a été spolié entre 1885 et 1958. Et je tiens à vous rappeler que depuis 2019, la République de Guinée est dans la dynamique régionale, c'est-à-dire conformément au plan d'action quinquennal de l'Union africaine qui a été rédigé à Cotonou, avec la participation des experts du patrimoine de l'Afrique. Et nous travaillons conformément aux axes de ce plan d'action. Notamment le premier axe qui parlait du renforcement du cadre institutionnel et juridique. Au jour d'aujourd'hui, la Guinée est en train de rénover son musée pour pouvoir accueillir les biens spoliés une fois restitués. Et aussi, nous avons engagé des actions pour ratifier la Convention de 1995 de l'UNIDROIT qui parle de ces biens spoliés. Aujourd'hui, les instruments de ratification se trouvent au ministère des Affaires étrangères pour une transmission officielle. Et tout récemment, pas plus que 5 mois, nous avons envoyé des stagiaires dans quelques musées européens pour pouvoir cartographier les biens culturels guinéens qui seraient détenus là-bas. Et aussi le renforcement du partenariat sous-régional à cause des biens transfrontaliers. C'est pour vous dire ici que la Guinée, en dépit des autres pays qui ont été victimes de ce trafic odieux, nous sommes engagés pour réclamer nos biens qui ont été spoliés parce qu'ils constituent un part important de notre identité culturelle. Donc, c'est pour dire ici de façon résumée que nous soutenons cette action de groupe pour que nous puissions reconstituer notre histoire en vue de la promouvoir, en vue de la valoriser et de la transmettre aux générations futures. Je pense que nous sommes avec vous et ensemble, nous vaincrons. Nous allons réussir s'il plaît à Dieu. Donc, je vais passer la parole à ma collègue si elle a quelque chose à dire par rapport à cela. Et je suis sûr, je vous rassure que le mandat va suivre parce que nous avons constaté le retard. Ce n'est que le samedi. Et le samedi, c'est presque le week-end. C'est pas l'administration guinéenne commence le lundi et elle prend fin le vendredi. Donc, le ministre a reçu le mandat et demain, c'est la réunion interministérielle. Il va faire une communication en conseil interministériel devant le président de la République. Sûrement, nous aurons l'aval des autorités nationales et le mandat va être transmis à Monsieur le Premier ministre de l'État de la diaspora. Je vous remercie.
Allô? Allô?
Oui, nous vous
Oui,
entendons.
allez-y, madame.
Ok, vous nous recevez. Donc, c'est juste pour appuyer ce que mon collègue a dit. Nous sommes dans cette dynamique du groupe. Nous espérons que le gouvernement va appuyer ceci parce que, comme l'a dit mon collègue, les travaux préliminaires sont déjà engagés par rapport au musée. Nous sommes là, nous sommes disposés à accueillir nos biens dans le musée et nous avons déjà engagé cela. Et nous pensons que le ministre en question, il va finir, compte tenu du retard que nous avons cumulé. Ça n'a pas été facile, même de tenir cette conférence, mais ce n'est que partie remise. Nous pensons que après cette conférence de presse et après le conseil que mon collègue vient de signaler avec le conseil ministériel, nous allons avoir un résultat positif qui va activer cette démarche. Donc, je vous remercie.
Donc, pour terminer, vous pouvez compter sur la Guinée et le mandat va suivre dans les jours à venir. Parce que ça nous tient au cœur et nous constatons qu'un pan important de notre patrimoine se trouve conservé à l'extérieur du pays. Quelque chose qui nous fait mal et nous sommes en train de travailler au retour de ces biens. C'est la raison pour laquelle le musée national aujourd'hui est fermé. C'est les travaux de rénovation et d'extension qui sont en cours pour pouvoir abriter ces biens une fois restitués. Et il y a le renforcement des capacités des cadres, du personnel de ce musée pour pouvoir gérer, pour pouvoir protéger, conserver, gérer et transmettre ces biens du patrimoine culturel national. N'hésitez pas parce que c'est une démarche, on veut conférer à cette action tout son caractère officiel parce que c'est une affaire nationale, donc on doit avoir l'aval des autorités nationales avant de vous transmettre le mandat. Et la conférence interministérielle aura lieu demain jeudi. Tous les jeudis, il y a conférence interministérielle. Le ministre a déjà reçu le mandat. Il va faire une communication officielle sur ça en conseil du ministre et pour que le gouvernement, en l'occurrence, monsieur le Président de la République, donne son aval pour signer le mandat et le transmettre à l'État de la diaspora africaine. Je vous remercie.
Merci encore, Excellence. Je tiens aussi à remercier M. Cissé, qui a facilité le dialogue avec les autorités. Et nous sommes très fiers d'avoir déjà la Guinée avec nous. La Guinée, le pays qui a dit non au général de Gaulle, ne pouvait pas ne pas être à la table de cette action de fierté panafricaine. Donc,
c'est paradoxal.
Merci.
C'est paradoxal. On ne peut pas être en marge de cette action de groupe.
Voilà,
nous la soutenons et nous allons la rejoindre.
Absolument. Vous êtes déjà avec nous de fait aujourd'hui. Donc, nous sommes très, très contents et très heureux de vous avoir avec nous. C'est un honneur et un plaisir.
Merci, c'est réciproque, c'est partagé.
Et transmettez nos amitiés à Monsieur le ministre et au gouvernement.
On n'y manquera pas, s'il plaît à Dieu.
Entendu. Merci beaucoup.
Nous sommes ensemble.
Absolument.
Merci.
Alors, je continue notre action de groupe et je passe la parole maintenant aux représentants du Libéria. Je crois que nous avons avec nous nos ambassadeurs, M. Goprou et M. Swale. I think we have with us Mr. Swale and Mr. Goprou. They will speak about Liberia. I don't know if they are in the room. Monsieur Goprou, Monsieur Swale.
Oui, merci, Premier ministre. Merci à notre gouvernement. Vous m'entendez?
On vous entend, très bien.
Oui.
Ok, d'accord. Donc, moi, je vais d'abord me présenter. Je suis Goku Roland. Je suis le roving ambassadeur du club Manrover. Mais avant cela, je suis le premier ambassadeur itinérant de l'Afrique, nommé depuis la naissance de Swad, à Nouakchott, en Mauritanie. Donc, je vais d'abord intervenir et puis mon collègue Seruba va intervenir, qui est l'ambassadeur résident. Donc, j'interviens là au nom du roi Zanzakawa, le président des chefs traditionnels et roi du Libéria. Vous savez que le Libéria est actuellement en action concernant l'élection. Donc, c'est pour cela qu'il n'a pas voulu être là, mais dans toutes les excuses au Premier ministre et à tout le gouvernement de Souad. Donc, mon intervention va s'articuler sur trois questions, à savoir pourquoi les rois ont donné mandat au Souad et pourquoi ils ont donné ce mandat exactement et pourquoi ils font partie du groupe. Donc, c'est pour ces trois questions que je vais intervenir au nom du roi Zanzakawa. Donc, ils ont sollicité, ils ont donné mandat parce qu'ils sont propriétaires terriens, ils sont le garant du patrimoine qui a été volé. C'est pour cela qu'ils ont donné mandat au SWAD. Mais particulièrement, ils ont donné mandat au SWAD parce que il y a un proverbe africain qui dit c'est celui qui sait ce qui se passe dedans qu'on envoie dedans. C'est SWAD, la communauté de leurs enfants qui sont dans les pays, dans le monde entier, qui sont où habitent les colons qui ont volé ce patrimoine. Donc, évidemment, ce sont ces enfants qui peuvent envoyer ou rechercher ces objets volés. Ça, c'est pour cela. Mais, à vrai dire, c'est pour leur dire que, c'est pour leur montrer leur histoire, leur identité concernant ces objets. De la même manière, ces objets ont été volés, c'est de cette même manière, leurs ancêtres, leurs parents, leurs arrière-parents ont été volés par cette mauvaise pratique que ces colons-là ont appelée la traite négrière, la traite des Noirs. Donc aujourd'hui, il est temps que ces frères, ces enfants retournent en Afrique chez eux. Il est bon de leur dire de revenir avec leur héritage. Et leur héritage, ce sont ces objets volés. Voici pourquoi il leur donne tout leur pouvoir, toute leur force, leur bénédiction, et il les soutient. Au finish, je voulais dire qu'ils appartiennent, ils ont sollicité ce groupe parce que ce groupe est constitué des enfants d'Afrique. Et ce groupe, depuis l'avènement de la naissance de Souad à la tête, le Premier ministre, qui est pour l'Afrique, le Moïse, c'est un sauveur, et pour qu'il y ait développement, il faut appartenir à ce groupe. Il faut donner mandat, mission à ce groupe. Voici pourquoi ils sont d'accord pour combattre, en tout cas, jusqu'à ce que cette restitution, cet héritage puisse arriver à bon port en Afrique. Donc, voici ce que je tenais à vous dire. Je remercie tout le monde et je donne la parole maintenant à mon collègue, l'ambassadeur Seriba, qui est l'ambassadeur résident du Libéria. Je vous remercie. Ambassador Seriba.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yes.
Good evening, good afternoon to all. Hello.
Yes, go.
Mr. Soriba, you're on mute. Could you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon, PM, and our leaders. Let me first say to the team that I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity that has been provided to us through our Prime Minister, the PM. When I got the information about this class action when it comes to our heritage, Liberia being one of the regional countries in Africa, having had independence in 1847, having had most of our artifacts around the world, I feel that this is an opportunity for us today. It's an opportunity for us in Liberia because, one, even though we are one of the oldest, in fact, the oldest independent country in Liberia, but as you may know, our challenges are huge. So, like my roving ambassador said, who is Hassan here with us, we felt that through Zanzankawa, we should participate in this opportunity because of the many challenges we have. One, Liberia is faced with a lot of economic challenges. And as you may know, if it comes to class action, we may not be in a position to, on our own, achieve this goal because of the cost of litigation. Litigation, when it comes to this kind of situation, is huge because we will have to share expenses for which we don't have. Secondly, the opportunity for us in Liberia is huge, since in fact we know what the situation is. For example, we may not be able to afford cost. So when we had the opportunity of our Prime Minister raising this lobbying for us to have this opportunity to have class action, we felt that, well, we should participate fully. We should give the right to SWAT as a state of African diaspora to lobby on our behalf, who should be more beneficiary to us because it will reduce the cost of action. More than that, they have more efficiency. The efficiency in terms of benefit is huge, since in fact the state of African diaspora as a united force in achieving this goal is an opportunity for us as a small country in Liberia. When I met Zanzankawa, as you may all know, we are in election in Liberia. This means that we may have a new leader or continue to have this leader we have, but we are still between toes and turn. So in that case, we are so grateful for the message from Zanzankawa that this opportunity is not an opportunity that we should miss because we have a challenge, and it is only the state of African diaspora that will be able to promote us, that will be able to reduce the cost of litigation for us to go through this, that will be able to give us the opportunity, greater efficiency. So on behalf of the Chief Zanzankawa, we are grateful to be part of this class action because we have a lot of benefit that we can benefit from, because we are going into election And this situation had never occurred in Liberia. This is the first time. When I met the information minister for tourism, he was so glad that at least the state of African diaspora have created the opportunity that we should take the advantage now. So on behalf of my boss, Roland Gupu, the roving ambassador who is here with me, and Zazankawa, we just want to say this is an opportunity that we cannot miss, and we give full support, authority to SWAT on our behalf to see how best all of our artifacts can be returned to Liberia. Let me stop here so far and say thanks to SWAT, to all of the foreign minister and those who have created this opportunity for us to be able to go for this class action so that our country can be one of the beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the ambassadors, Mr. Gopro and Mr. Soriba, representing Chief Zazankawa. So please express our gratitude to Chief Zazankawa. And it's a pleasure to have Liberia with us, the first independent country from Africa. Thank you very much. Now, let me give the floor to Gabon. I think we have with us Mr. Rodney Ikorizok, representative of ESAP. Rodney, est-ce que tu nous entends? Monsieur Ikorizok? Ah, il m'avait dit qu'il était disponible. Alors, est-ce qu'il a activé son micro? Monsieur Ikorizok? Alors, Monsieur Ikorizok, si vous êtes là, est-ce que vous pouvez activer votre micro? Bon, il a peut-être eu un problème de connexion parce que tout à l'heure, il était là. Okay, so when we can continue, let's continue. Sorry about Gabon. Gabon will join a bit later, I guess. So let's continue with Uganda. We have here the representative of Uganda. Please, Excellencies, take the floor. And I want to greet our ambassadors, Mr. Amooti, Mr. Davira Madison, and we have His Majesty with us. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, the Prime Minister, the ministers, the parliamentarians, ambassadors, all the royals, Madira Davidson Amot Prince. I'm representing Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom, together with my Chief Prince, who will also greet you and talk to you briefly. Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom was conquered by the British in 1870, and they fought with our king, Kawalega. They killed a lot of our people, 2.5 million people. We were only left 100,000. They looted our properties. They took our land and gave it to other kingdoms. They enslaved us. So we really thank SOAD for having put this initiative of supporting us to claim our artifacts. Locally here, we are actually having court cases with Uganda government who have made attempts to sue the British government. And some of our land are being restituted. Now the artifacts, as the Chief Prince is going to explain to you, they are found in various museums in the UK, and we'll be very happy to work with the SOAD, and we fully mandate SOAD to be able to recover our artifacts. So let me give chance to Chief Prince Okwiri to explain the particular things we're claiming.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm the Chief Prince of Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom, and my title is Okwiri. So I'm normally referred to as the Okwiri of Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom. As my Prince Madila has indicated, true Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom was was conquered by the British colonialists and destroyed a lot of property, a lot of lives, and took away a lot of our lands, donated it to those other kingdoms that helped them conquer us. As a result, they took away a lot of our artifacts, and many of them, including actually the throne of our kingdom. The throne of our kingdom is depicted as a seat, a 9-legged seat, where the king used to sit. And currently, it is located in Pitt Rivers Museum in Oxford, UK. We have other artifacts which are in other private museums located again in UK. Our request to SOAD is to support us in documentation of those items which are scattered all over UK museums. Of course, it requires a lot of intuition, a lot of facilitation, and a lot of resources. We are lucky in our kingdom. We have a historian who is a researcher by the name of Dr. Nsamba Jolam. He has ever visited the UK. He has ever visited Pitt Rivers Museum in UK, and he was able to look at those artifacts personally. So we have a lot of facts about them. We have a lot of proof. The Queen of England, the late Elizabeth, came here to Uganda and also acknowledged that fact. So, but because of limited resources in our kingdom, because actually our kingdom was disseminated, as Madela has told you, that we over 2.5 million people from our kingdom were murdered, and remained a few of us. Resources were taken, our lands were turned into national parks and forest reserves. So that is the dire situation that we are in this side. We're lucky that we have a government under Yoweri Kaguta Museveni who is sympathetic to our cause. Actually, at some point, the kingdoms had been abolished, especially in 1967, and it's Yoweri Museveni who returned them, who restituted them in 1993. That is why we're now limping to survive now. So if we are grateful to SOAD for having spread to us, for having known that SOAD exists, we are lucky, and we are very appreciative to Madela Davidson, whom we are with in the kingdom, and he is giving us a helping hand. We'd like to thank SOAD again for coming up to lead our claim so that our artifacts from the UK are returned, and if be, compensation be done and be made to us. I thank you, all of you. I thank the Prime Minister. I thank the Minister for in charge of the Royal Chambers, the Queen, for being with us, for being there for us, and would wish them to come down here to Bunyoro. They see for themselves. They see the people. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, madam.
Thank you very much. Bye. That closes our presentation from Uganda.
Thank you very much. I would like to express my gratitude to the authority, the king, and also to all the kingdom. That's very important for us to have you from Uganda. And now we have all the regions of Africa with us. Thank you again, Excellency, Majesty, and our ambassadors. Thank you also to our Royal Chamber. So now we were in Uganda, now we are going to South Africa, and we have a mandate from the San people and also the Khoi nation. And I think we have here in the room our Minister of Education, Vimbai, Minister Vimbai Chiwuswa, who is going to speak on their behalf. Minister, are you in the room? Yes, I can see you. Please take the floor.
Greetings, PM. Greetings, your Highnesses, the Queen Ketura, Queen Aiji, all the queens in the house, all the all the ministers, all the kings and queens in the house, all the princesses and prince, and all the honorables in the house. I greet you this evening, or at least it's evening where I am. So thank you once again for this great initiative that we are having and hosting today. As we can see that there is so much that is going on, that is happening on the ground without, different people already working. So I want to say thank you so much for coming up with this great initiative, PM, and everyone else who has been helping to, to push this agenda forward. We all know that different groups have been working already, but it has been difficult because those who are in charge, who are keeping these artifacts, they are not going to give them easily. I can tell you as an example of my own experience, when I was in Germany studying anthropology, there is an anthropology museum in Berlin. You will be amazed the kind of things that they have there. Are really amazed. But no one is willing to give them back. But where they are keeping them, they are somewhere in the cellars, in the underground apartment. That our children, so that we are all informed. When we move around, those of us who travel, we see these different artifacts in different places. We can always have an address where we say, hey, hello, I have seen this. It's kept in such a place. For those who are having information that they've seen some things that are kept, some artifacts that are kept in a different place, let's have a central place, and so what is one address where we can use as a database to say, I have seen this. Let's go and get it. Be it private collectors like Queen Ketura are presented. Another sad part of the story. Our own people are even selling those artifacts today. So that's another thing that we have to deal with among ourselves, to say, no, let's get to know what do these artifacts mean, and have that knowledge within the tip of our fingers, so that we stop selling them. If we stop selling them, then they won't be able to, the market will not be easily continue to flourish as they are doing now. So once again, PM said, and Queen Aiji said it again, that our PM has been honored with a doctorate. So PM, once again, congratulations to you. In that case, allow me to also say I was honored too with a doctorate in education from the All Nations Institution of South Africa. Okay, so and once again, to that, it came as a surprise, and thank you once again for recognizing me, and thank you so much for recognizing our PM and recognizing our SOAD as a state. We have the mandate, right, signed by His Royal Majesty Victor Guy Hoogstaden of the United Aboriginal Khoisan Kingdom, right, and also from the Paramount Chief General Secretary, Chief Professor Danny Boy Pietza, also the two of them signing up for the following organizations. Please forgive me if I'm saying this wrong. The Heseka Khoi Tribunal Council, the Khoisan National Self-Defense, the All Nations Bible Institutions and Project, and lastly, the All Nations Outreach Christian Council. All of them are registered in South Africa. And they have given SOAD the mandate to go ahead and collect and continue to fight to get any artifacts that belong to their organization, their kingdoms back home. So thank you once again for recognizing us, and thank you so much for this mandate. And as SOAD, we appreciate this recognition. Thank you so much. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much, dear Minister. And I'm glad to know that you had a doctorate as well. You didn't tell me. So congratulations as well. And we need to make another press release about you. Beautiful.
Sorry about that, PM. I will send it to you as well. Thank you once again.
Modest. No, you're too modest. That's why. So from the San, or the colonial name was the Bushmen, but that's the colonial name. We are not using it anymore. It's the San people. And yes, so here you have one artifact, another one, this ornament located in the British Museum, and this one belongs to the Khoi people from South Africa. Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So I think we can move to the next topic and the next country, sorry. I don't know if Ethiopia is with us, the World Federation. Russ Lazarus, are you with us this afternoon? Oh, yes, I can see Russ Lazarus.
Greetings. Yes, Prime Minister.
Thank you. Please take the floor.
Greetings. I'm Ross Lazarus Nazareth with the Ethiopian World Federation. The Ethiopian World Federation was chartered August 25th, 1937 by His Imperial Majesty and ordained as an institutional governmental body to assist and aid in the diaspora, and not only in the diaspora, but in the standings of His Imperial Majesty's decree unto the world against the doctrine of the Pope. So the Ethiopian World Federation, in our declaration of our sovereign and emancipated through the Imperial Majesty and the Royal Throne of Ethiopia, we have several claims on restoration of lands, restoration of the items, and most importantly, the remains of Prince Alaimo, of Emperor Theodore, of the Magdala incident. So we are standing with all of the African nations in the return of artifacts and remains. The Ethiopian World Federation has also a strong claimage also with the Gullah Geechee community as representing with the diaspora. The remains of King Theodore's manuscripts that were taken from the Magdala are of utter importance to the return of our history and the restoration of the knowledge and the wealth that was embodied within Africa. These holdings of these artifacts are a continuation of colonialism and slavery within the African continent, and therefore the Ethiopian World Federation, as ordained by His Imperial Majesty, will seek out justice in all forms in this matter. Give thanks. I return the phone back to you, your Prime Minister. Give thanks.
Prime Minister, are you there? Okay, if the Prime Minister is not available with us, we will continue. And thank you very much, Minister Lazarus. I'm not sure if we covered Zimbabwe. Do we have the representative of Zimbabwe with us?
Not yet. He is in the transport, in public transport, so he will be available a bit later.
Okay.
PM.
Yes.
PM. May
Yes.
I just add, talking of Zimbabwe, I'm not sure how much SOAD has, like how far we have been working together in that connection, in that regard. But what I can share with this conference is that Zimbabwe is still like really having like conversations going on in connection with the returns of the head of like Mbuya Nehanda, who is like Queen Nehanda, so to say, and then
yes.
she.
But we have a person. The person, I mean, who is in charge of restitution in Zimbabwe is with us.
Is he already in?
But not yet. He will speak in a few minutes.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll just add into that there is really that need to go on. So we will hear from them how far they've managed to like retain those, because the conversation had started prior to COVID.
Yes, yes, indeed.
PM.
Yes.
Yes, Soriba, Liberia.
Yes.
Yeah, let me just add something, because there are a few things in French I did not understand. But
we're going to have a session of questions and answers at the end. Don't worry. Yes.
Yeah, but is there a comment I want to make?
Okay, well, a quick comment, but we will have questions, but a quick comment then, a quick one.
Okay, I just want to let you all know that, like I said, in independence we had in Liberia 1984, 47, and I can say to my brothers, one of the key reasons why we're happy to authorize SWA to help us, because Liberia do not have no inventory. We cannot tell you now, if you went out in this country to say what our inventory, how do we know which countries have our artifacts, when in fact, this was the first country that in 1925, that Marcus Garvey came here with a ship. That ship brought a lot of things for us to be able to develop the agriculture sector in Liberia. But all was taken away and given to Firestone, one of the largest rubber plantation in this country since 1925 in the world. When the ship was returning from our forefather to us, most of our artifacts were taken away at that time. I'm talking about 1925 to 1945, before the war was on. So it means that Liberia, we have a lot of artifacts that have been taken away from us, but we do not have no inventory to trace them, no tracing. So we are so happy that the Prime Minister will have come with this idea, and we can, through my Chief Zandankawa and my ambassador, roving ambassador, to give full authority to SWAT to help save the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Soriba. I should give the floor to...
Excusez-moi.
Oui.
Excusez-moi, salutations à vous. Est-ce que c'est une organisation anglophone seulement ou c'est une organisation panafricaine?
Alors,
Parce que
comme je disais au
j'écoute que les
début,
anglophones qui parlent.
non, pas du tout. En fait, au début, il y a eu 6 francophones, 6 interlocuteurs et la traduction en anglais était dans le chat. Et maintenant, on va faire l'inverse. Donc, quand ce sont des anglophones qui parlent, la traduction est en français dans le chat, à la fin de l'intervention.
Mais voilà,
Oui.
nous, on est en Afrique centrale.
Oui.
On ne nous a pas interviewés. En fait, il y a une... Excusez-moi, hein, excusez-moi de prendre la parole brusque. Parce que la reine de l'Afrique du Sud m'a envoyé pour que je puisse intervenir ou assister. Mais bon, depuis que je suis là, j'écoute que les anglophones parler, je ne comprends
Non,
pas. Est-ce que
madame.
c'est une organisation
Non, madame,
anglophone?
je viens de vous répondre. En fait, il n'y a pas que des anglophones, puisque les 6 premières interventions étaient en français. Il y avait la Guinée, il y avait le Bénin, il y avait le Congo, il y avait, voilà. Donc, au début, c'était des Français. On avait la traduction en anglais dans le chat. Maintenant, c'est les anglophones. Alors, vous êtes peut-être arrivé en retard, mais maintenant, c'est les anglophones et il y a le résumé en français. On va reprendre le cours de la discussion, si vous voulez bien. So now I should give the floor back to the Minister of the State Department. Minister Tucker, sorry, I should have given it to you even earlier. I was a bit confused. So Minister Tucker, if you would like to chair the meeting now, sorry.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I lost connection for a while.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. We will continue with our countries now. Is Zimbabwe in the house now? I saw some people added to the room.
No, they will be there in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So perhaps we should go with Angola if they are in the room.
Okay, thank you. So we'll go to Angola. Chiefs Sangwe Nedala from the Nagongo Kingdom of Angola, or Prince Rodriguez Luhina. Excuse my pronunciation. Are you in the house? Representatives of Angola, are you in the house?
Merci pour prendre la parole. Merci pour prendre la parole. Je ne sais pas si vous m'écoutez. Je ne sais pas si vous m'écoutez.
Oui, c'est l'Angola qui parle, c'est ça? C'est l'Angola?
Oui, c'est l'Angola. Oui, c'est l'Angola. C'est l'Angola.
Merci. Je vous en prie, prenez la parole.
Oui, ok, merci. Ici, c'est Son Majesté Sangiandala qui parlait de l'Angola. Pour nous, vraiment, nous sommes bien reçus pour cette occasion de travailler avec l'organisation. Comme on venait déjà de dire, parmi les intervenants qui sont passés, chacun a son problème, mais je sais que les problèmes sont des problèmes communs. Parce que quand on parle de l'Afrique, on ne voit pas le Bénin, la Côte d'Ivoire, le Gabon, on parle de l'Afrique en général. Dans l'époque avant que nous soyons nés au monde, comme nous sommes aujourd'hui avec les années que nous avons, mais il y avait déjà des histoires, passées. Après le passage, après avoir la colonisation, il y avait des occupants de la terre, des occupants qui sont passés dans notre territoire aujourd'hui, qui sont divisés maintenant dans certaines divisions de terres. On parle du Tchad, on parle du Gabon, on parle du Cameroun, tout consort là, mais à cette époque-là, il y avait des terres communes comme des terres africaines. Nous avons perdu beaucoup. Chacun de nous avec leur royauté, leur royaume, nous avons perdu beaucoup des histoires. En particulier, quand on parle de l'Angola, on voit qu'en Angola, nous avons plus de 100 et quelques tribus divisées dans les secteurs individuels. Mais chacun de ces peuples-là, ils sont perdus, Mais nous, comme le royaume historique, le royaume qui fait le nom de l'Angola aujourd'hui, quand on parle de l'Angola, on parle directement que c'est la référence des royaumes Ndong. C'est là où ça vient le nom de l'Angola qui signifie les peuples d'Angola, Aquangola ou Atu Angola. C'est là que nous avons aujourd'hui une victoire bien espacée avec les tribus qui sont. Mais nous avons perdu beaucoup. Mais avec les efforts que vous venez de faire, cette organisation de l'État d'espoir qui est dirigée par le Premier ministre, pour nous ici en Angola, on remercie d'abord premièrement avec les efforts que vous venez de mettre, parce que c'est vous là qui vivez là où il y a des gens qui sont malmenés, élevés, des Africains. Avant que nous soyons maintenant indépendants, jusqu'aujourd'hui aussi, moi, je ne voyais pas que nous sommes indépendants parce que il y en a beaucoup des histoires que les mêmes gens qui étaient les catalysateurs, surtout les catalysateurs qui menaient de maintenance en Afrique, on continue toujours de mener les mêmes histoires de guerre. C'est là que nous perdons notre valeur. Avec votre particulièrement, de faire des recherches, d'avoir beaucoup d'histoires que nous avons perdues. Ici, en Angola, il y a des problèmes, que ce soit la reconstruction des musées nationaux. Quand on parle des musées, c'est là où on doit trouver tous les objets, artefacts que nous cherchons maintenant, qui peuvent se rassembler. Mais nous avons la difficulté de construire seulement d'abord notre musée, qui peut faire une signe correctement, qui peut faire les symboles de l'Afrique. Mais nous avons la difficulté parce que les institutions ne sont pas dignes à le faire. Mais avec vous, comme vous êtes déjà là, avec des associations locales que nous travaillons, nous représentons, qui est dans la base de ces histoires-là, c'est qu'on doit retrouver, on doit récupérer tout ce qu'on avait déjà perdu avec votre effort. Mais nous, ça nous demande qu'il faut avoir d'abord les efforts personnels de nous-mêmes en Angola, qu'on doit avoir une idée unique, les idées uniques qui peuvent nous unir pour trouver toutes les histoires. Parce que je viens d'accompagner notre frère du Congo-Kinshasa dans le début de la conférence. Il a présenté une histoire, une image artefacts qui fait part de l'Angola aussi, parce que nous vivons des mêmes familles frontalières. Quand on va de Tchok, on va de Lunda, on va de Ndongo aussi. Il y a une partie de Ndongo qui sont se déplacés dans l'époque dans les territoires de l'Angola. Maintenant, nous sommes se trouvés dans les territoires du Congo. Les histoires, les objets que nous cherchons, or nous devons travailler, ça peut être les mêmes que aussi le Congo peut présenter d'une façon collective. Mais avec votre effort, nous sommes ici de travailler, à ma part, des journalistes et que nous on appelle en lusophonie investigateurs qui cherchent dans la tribu du Ndongo et dans la royauté, qui s'est représenté par Sandiandal avec mon assistant Rodrigue Luville. Mais tout ça, on doit travailler ensemble. Comme nous sommes déjà dans le début des projets, des sujets, nous devons mettre notre histoire, notre effort. À vous dire aussi, il y a beaucoup de matériel qui ne sont pas encore présentés. On fera toutes les histoires, de les chercher d'une façon orale, avec notre ancêtres qui sont d'abord vivants, comme des monuments vivants, pour nous restituer tout ce que nous avons perdu à l'époque. Mais avec votre effort, je sais qu'on doit travailler ensemble pour trouver la solution pour l'Afrique en général. Parce que l'Afrique est en chaos avec leurs objets. Les objets là, c'est ça là qui fait part maintenant de l'histoire d'autres pays à l'extérieur quand on parle des Occidentaux. Mais avec vous, comme vous êtes chargé de cette commission, nous, comme votre père et de votre grand-père, nous sommes là derrière vous. On doit vous soutenir pour faire tout ce que nous avons fait. C'est cela que je peux comme maison, mais nous travaillons ensemble et notre ancêtres nous soutenons dans les projets de vie. Merci pour la soirée d'aujourd'hui. Merci.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you for that presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, we're almost at the end now. We're gonna call on His Excellency Chief Chasing Horse. Are you in the house? His Excellency Chief Chasing Horse. I believe I saw him earlier.
Yes. Excellency, could you activate your microphone? Yes.
Yes, welcome. We're not hearing Your Excellency. We're not hearing you. Okay, I think I'm hearing a little bit. Oh. We don't have sound, Your Excellency. No, we cannot hear you now.
Perhaps we should move to the next speaker, and whilst our chief is organizing his sound.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're happy to have the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas, the Director General, Nisu. Please help me with the pronunciation of your last name.
Wishwanag, no problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. Let me greet everyone properly. With Wilson Natoma, Kanithan Park, Askaka Swampson, Nutuis Nisu Wishwanag, to Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas, Wuni Mosquito Ka Aquani. Good day, family and friends. How are you doing? I am Two Hawks, which is the English translation of Nisu Wishwanag, from the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas. Good medicine and peace be unto you all. For those who may not be aware, the Federation of Aboriginal Nations of the Americas is a confederation of pre-colonial, quote-unquote, American Indian tribes and nations that are ancestral inhabitants to the lands contemporarily referred to as the Americas, primarily along the eastern seaboard and into what is presently known as the Caribbean. One of the primary requirements for being a fauna nation of the Federation is to be a first contact nation. So all of the fauna nations are nations that either have agreements or treaties with the English crown or with the Spanish crown. As those agreements kind of transitioned on in colonialism to the United States, we were kind of written out of history primarily because Article 6, Clause 1 of the United States Constitution requires that all agreements made before the Constitution are as valid against the Constitution as they were against the Confederacy. So the strategy was simply to write us out of existence or to relabel us as something other than who we are, which are quote-unquote American Indians. So in that regard, we've started fauna in 2015. We have a number of the fauna chiefs that are on the line right now. Chief First Spear, Chief Yanagusko, who gave greetings earlier, Chief Eagle Elk, Chief Fire River, and then our superior Chief Winds of Thunder. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge them. and then I serve in the capacity of Director General. So what you have here first is the mandate for my particular tribe, the Meshipak Nahigensi Chippewa, who are in the Rhode Island area, giving FANA the authority to act on our behalf in collaboration with the state of the African diaspora. Of course, next to that, the mandate from SOAD for FANA to do work on behalf of FANA. And we are very appreciative. In 9 language, we say Katapatush, for SOAD reaching out to us to provide support in this regard, because it's so important that our nations here in the quote unquote Americas reestablish and rebuild the very productive and positive relationships we had with our family over in the African continent prior to this thing called European colonization. Next slide, please. While we do have a number of artifacts and things of that nature that in future presentations we will want to highlight, we primarily wanted to focus on what is our biggest issue and our biggest need and interest at this time, and is rectifying the illegal dispossession of our ancestral lands, which are very beautiful. For anyone who has been on the East Coast of the Americas or in the Caribbean, you know it's a very beautiful, very bountiful lands. So I just want to highlight a few of them before I turn the microphone back over. But this is a picture of Meshipak Pond, which is my particular people's ancestral lands. Very beautiful pond, still in the city of Providence. And as you see, they even kept our ancestral name for it. But at the same token are saying that we don't exist, or at least have been saying that. Once again, that has been their kind of strategy. Next slide, please. The next 3 are specific to our Sandhill Band of Lenape and Cherokee Indians, who are in the New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania area. So here you have Shark River Park, which is in Neptune, New Jersey. Next slide, please. This is Reevytown, which is in Eaton, New Jersey, and has actually made it into a land dump, a landfill. So this is what they've taken and done to our very beautiful and very pristine lands. In many places, just totally ravaged them, so that they once again can keep alive this conversation that we no longer exist. And once again, this is Sand Hill territory. And next slide, please. And then this is the Capelli Sports Complex, which is in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. You can see the sheer size of it. But once again, these are often where our villages were, where our burial grounds were, where our sacred sites were. And they just level them and put sports complexes, golf courses, things of that nature on them, once again, to keep alive this notion that we no longer exist. And then the last slide that I'll present today, and of course, there are many other at the next presentation. I'll present some other ones. This is from our Kiskiak family. This is the Yorktown Naval Weapons Station in Yorktown, Virginia. And as you can see, they just took it and put a naval base on it. And for Chief First Spears, people pretty much ran them off of the lands, forced them to migrate to different areas. So FANA is very, very appreciative, once again, that our SOAD family is reaching across the pond, as they say, to connect with us, to provide resources and supports to us. And we do look forward in helping advance this class action, providing whatever resources and supports that we can provide to help move these efforts forward, and also being a beneficiary of the supports and resources that SOAD will provide. Katapatush Wuchia Chusata, thank you very much for listening to me, and I will yield the floor back to the Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you for that very informative presentation. And we're going to go back now to see if Chief Chasing Horse has resolved his issue with the sound, if he's available. Chief Chasing Horse. Okay, if he's not responding, let's go back to Zimbabwe. Are you available now? The nation of Zimbabwe. Chiakukowa Raphael, have you arrived? Are you available? Okay, no response from Zimbabwe as yet, and no response from His Excellency Chief Chasing Horse. Okay, we'll give it a few minutes. Those are our last 2 nations that we would like to hear from. Today, we have been informed We have been inspired, we've been appalled, we have been saddened to see what has happened to our history and how we have been just disregarded and disrespected. But today, we have been honored with your presence, each and every one of you, to our conference to learn what has happened to our culture and to our people. So your presence is honored, your excellencies in the house. There are so many here. And thank you so much for the press attending our conference so you can be, as Queen Keturah said, our eyes and our ears and our announcements, and sound the trumpet and proclaim, send the talking drums out across the world. What has happened to our culture? I'm so grateful to live in this day and time where technology has enlightened us, and united we can bring our artifacts home and bring a people home, for we are united. SOAD is grateful at this time. So at this time,
sorry, Minister, to cut in. We just have one more nation, which is the Gula Nation, represented by Minister Lazarus. If we may just have that nation before we go back to the other two.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, Minister Ross Lazarus Nazari. Yes, Gula, from the Gula Nation.
Well, greetings again. It has been definitely a wonderful and an enlightening union of us on the journey of repairing our own path, setting forth to put that solidarity in action, that we know that we have a history. We have a history that has been stolen from us. We have a history that has to be restored to us. We have artifacts. And I would like to thank the chief that just spoke before me, because in the Gullah Geechee community, the Gullah Geechee Nation, we share that same heritage, which is a connection between the East and the West. In our Gullah Geechee communities, we are taught of our history of our ancestors sailing to America prior to Christopher Columbus. So there is a magnitude of African history within the Americas that has been stolen and has been destroyed and has been removed from the queries of history being taught to the youth. And in these components, you have a unity between the East and the West that took place in antiquity. And our family particular, as you can see, we have areas in which our families are particularly from, which is called Ossabaw Island, Wassaw Island, St. Catherine's Islands, Sapelo Island, Skidaway Island. But one thing of all of these islands and all of these areas, which are our sacred lands, we have what is called spiral mound temples. Spiral mound temples. And in archaeologists, they have seen that the only resemblance of these spiral mound temples was found in Benin, in the spiraling cities. So the spiral walls of Benin and the spiral mound temples have been shown to show a history. In my family history, particularly, my grandfather and them are what you call boat builders. They claim their history from the Aksumite Ethiopians who traveled, and that's why we say our Kushite history. So we have a great history within the Kushite antiquities that reach into the Americas. And in the time of slavery, when our ancestors were being brought over on slave ships, the unison between these bloodlines took place on the coast of America. And in this same aspect as what took place throughout most of the Caribbean and most of South America, communities formed like that of the Maroons. But in the America, we are called the Gullah Geechee Nation, which is pretty much the same as the Maroon Nation. Many of our families fled to islands that were uninhabitable, which Europeans were afraid of because of the mosquitoes. Many of us stayed on the outskirts even after the developments of cities, even after the civil wars and so forth. Our families still remained to be the separated ones who carried traditions and languages and words that existed from Africa throughout the Americas to antiquity. And we have lost our lands in these times, mainly because of a history when Blacks were not allowed to go into a courthouse and register land. So in the times of supposedly America's restoration period after the Civil War and after the so-called emancipation, our lands were still being taken because we were not allowed to register in courthouses. And we lost a lot of sacred lands. We've lost a lot of sacred artifacts that were taken from these lands. And in that, I will close in saying that we thank the state of the African diaspora for uniting and pushing the efforts to bring these calls of justice to the forefront. Give thanks.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister Rasslaris. Thank you for that Gullah presentation. Once again, I'm acknowledging Chief Chasing Horse. His Excellency Chief Chasing Horse, have you been able to present? Or our representative from, I forget, I lost my place.
From Zimbabwe?
Yes, please, thank you. Is our representative from Zimbabwe in the house? Okay. Well, at this time, I'm just going to open the floor and open the floor to questions. While we're waiting, perhaps our two last presenters will come. So at this time, I'm opening the floor.
Minister Tucker, before you open the floor, there was a
Yes.
rep from the Republic of Central Africa that
Yes.
wanted to make a statement.
Sure, go right ahead. Thank you.
If the
Representative.
représentant de la République centrafricaine, si vous êtes toujours là, vous avez la parole. République centrafricaine, République Centrafrique. She made a statement earlier saying that they were not being recognized, and the Prime Minister explained the process, that from the get-go, it was the French-speaking nations, and then we moved to the Anglophone regions of Africa and the diaspora. Alors, représentant de la République centrafricaine, si vous êtes toujours là, vous prenez la parole, s'il vous plaît. If there's silence, I think we can move on, but we'll mention that they were called upon.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Miguel from Angola.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody is listening to me.
Yes, we're here.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much. And good evening for everybody. I'm very honored to be in this meeting because I did listen many important things about African culture and about African history. But as a journalist, I have been working so much in researching our history, and something is I have as a concern is we are listening about our some pieces, some artifacts back into Africa, but when they come back to Africa, we have a new generation that must keep on this fighting to continue to rescue our artifacts. Is it important to take this program to schools, to the universities, because African youth are not so proud of our history nowadays because they don't learn it in school. They don't know who are their kings, their queens. They don't know about their real history because schools and the universities, they don't teach our real history. Normally, they teach us to understand history and some few things about us. How can youth continue with this research, with these demands? Yeah, that is my question.
Okay, I think either our Vice Prime Minister Katura or our Prime Minister can address that question.
Yes, thank you for your question. It's very important. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so of course, in fact, the process is twofold. One thing is Reconquest, and another one, when the artifacts or human remains are back home, is to promote. And that is, of course, something we can help the governments with. But yes, the government certainly, and we have a whole program for them if they want, how to include that in the curriculum, how to promote them in exhibitions or, or different ways, because it's very important for these artifacts or human remains to be, I would say, stored not only in the museums, but in the hearts of the population. Thank you. Donc je disais que oui, bien sûr, il faut absolument que cela soit fait, et car il faut promouvoir la conservation, non seulement dans les musées, mais aussi dans les cœurs. Merci. So I think we can take more questions from journalists and priority journalists. If journalists want to ask questions, of course, there's a priority for journalists, and later on, other people can ask questions as well. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if we have another journalist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, mon nom c'est professeur Salif Désiré Baloubi ici. Je suis traducteur, je suis membre de la Suède, mais au même moment, je suis un communicant représentant ici Tempo Afrique TV. Et ma question pour cette auguste assemblée, c'est d'abord pour vous saluer, remercier les efforts que vous fournissez, les actions, les actes que vous posez. Nous savons que vous êtes vraiment panafricain, la solidarité. Eh bien, nous voudrions savoir dans quelle mesure, par exemple, vous pouvez donner des interviews à des radios, à des télés, et notre télé vous inviterait officiellement à nous rencontrer pour que nos journalistes vous posent des questions beaucoup plus pointues parce que ce contexte ne s'y prête pas, le temps oblige. In addition to being a member of SOAD and a translator here, I'm also a representative of Tempo Africa TV, which is a Pan-Africanist television by Africans for Africans. I know that what we're doing here is crucial, it's very important, and we don't have enough time to cover all questions, and we would extend an invitation, official invitation to SOAD, the rep. It could be the Prime Minister or anyone he would have designated to meet with our journalists so that we can ask questions, maybe for half an hour or an hour. So that will be the request from Tempo Africa TV.
Thank you, Dr. Baloubi. Yes.
Yes, of course. The answer is yes, no problem. La réponse est oui. Nous pouvons bien sûr, nous sommes heureux de pouvoir être invités dans votre média pour parler. So we're happy to be invited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions on the floor at this time?
Yes, I do have a question. Much greetings again to the royal kings and queens universally. I am from the African diaspora, we say in exile in Honduras. We are from the Jewish community in Honduras, and our great concern is that if the state of the diaspora is now considered a state in the diaspora, are we willing to create branches that do have ambassadors to represent the same state, so we can start to protect our people within inside of the areas, in the areas of promoting and facilitating the knowledge that they do need to advance. We are still not considered as that stolen artifact, the greatest piece of the most valuable artifact that was stolen from Africa. And it's time for the state of the diaspora to start acting such that we need to be recognized as a state. And if they're willing to do the same thing for us, the living, not an artifact, I do appreciate, I do congratulate those people that is willing to get those artifacts back into place that they had stolen. But they do have to remember also that they have some brothers and sisters out in the diaspora that was also stolen from Africa and are willing to get back home to share the part of history that we do know about Africa and Americas, Asia, also to share those knowledge in natural medicine, healthy diet, those knowledge in international human rights and obligation, also theology, which is the spirituality of Africa. Things like this is what we are into. We don't just want to repatriate before we prepare. We need preparation before repatriation. And I'm wondering and asking the African, the 6th region of
Okay. Yes, I believe we lost him for just a moment. Perhaps he'll come back in a few moments. I'm asking again, is Zimbabwe arrived? We're here for your presentation.
Not yet. Both
Presenter from Zimbabwe?
Yes, not yet. Both Zimbabwe and Gabon have issues for their connection. But let me verify again. But not yet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Could we give a call to Chief Chasing Horse just to check in with Chief Chasing Horse and his microphone?
Yes. Yes, that was my next question. Chief Chasing Horse, are you available? We don't want to leave out anyone on this very historical conference. Chief Chasing Horse?
I can see his audio is trying to connect, but he's not connecting fully.
Okay.
Okay, I think he's connected now, but no, he's still having audio connections problems.
Okay, I have a hand raised.
Yeah.
Okay. Mudamba from Kenya.
Yes. It's a bit dark out here for me. I'm not so sure that this light is sufficient for us to be able to hear from me, but I just wanted to put in one or two inputs about what great work is being done by SOAD, and I want to just say that I'm so glad that this is taking place. I was invited to this session by Anina. Anina is the lady who did A Story of Bones, a documentary that's very, very important for us as Africans. The story of the slaves that were buried en masse in St. Helena. And I was able to watch that documentary, and I appreciated so much the kind of troubles that Africans went through, and the pain of losing ancestors and our own bloodline in such painful and circumstances such as that. And I just wanted to say that apart from discussing and talking about the return of artifacts, I think that issue of being able to give our ancestors decent burials is also quite an important matter to think of, and to most likely then put into account those who are involved in getting this kind of thing happening, because it also connects to what the previous speaker spoke about, the issue of returning and preparing for the African diaspora to be able to find a way back home. But how do you find way back home if even the former ancestors are still either very indecently buried in mass graves, and there is no reparation, there is no even remorse for the kind of treatment that our ancestors went through. So this is very important for me, because I feel like some of these matters are the matters that will make us become decent Africans in what we do, and at the same time be proud that when the time to ask questions, we did ask the right questions. So I like this forum so much, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I really, really, really appreciate what is happening here. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Your Honorable. Thank you for your comments, Your Excellency. Thank you. Minister Sharon Paris of Tourism of SOAD. You're on mute.
Thank you. All protocols observed, Council General. Thank you. All protocols observed to everyone here, from our royalties, excellencies, governments, to our Pan-Africanists, our researchers, everyone. I'd like to ask, from the journalistic point of view, I am a journalist. Carib Newsroom is my my medium. And in the Caribbean, I'm responsible through the SOAD's journalistic core to transmit news. And what I'm particularly interested in, PM, is the touristic implications of being able to create tours throughout the continent of restored artifacts and museums, so that we can create courses through SOAD, tours to visit these various artifacts. And I'd like to have you speak to that. We can also bring schools and universities to the location, every location on the continent where the arts have been restored. So could you speak to the touristic impact of that?
Yes, thank you very much, dear Minister. And you're perfectly right. It's clear that it is also a matter of economic development. If I think of France, for example, 15% of the GDP of France is coming from tourism. So it's not something that we could ignore. In the context of your ministry, we have, of course, as everybody knows here, I hope, the new Black Star Line. So it's a company that we are creating with His Excellency Julius Garvey, Marcus Garvey's son. And the idea is to visit a few countries of Western Africa. And when we go to a country, of course, we have to include the museums in the tour. So for example, if we go to Benin, and Benin is okay to welcome us as one of the steps of the tour, where we would have to go to the museum. And I think we will be very proud to say that these artifacts are here after our campaign on restitution. So definitely it has to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Minister Sharon, for your question. Ahimotep 5 is what I see. You have your hand up. Ahimotep 5. You have a question.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ntombizeng Nebo from Greytown. My surname is Zondi. We are here representing Inkosi Pambata, Kamanzinza Zondi, who was known to be the hero who fought against the imposition of poll tax in 1906. I would like to ask a question. How can we be best assisted in recovering all the spears, shields, all the sentimental pieces that were taken from the war in 1906? We know very well that it has been said that distorted history has been said that his head was cut off during the war in 1906. We as his family have discovered about 7 years ago that it was indeed not his head that was cut off in Momekot. We would like you to help us, or we would like you to assist us in finding out whose head that was, because the DNA was taken and the hair has proven that it was not his hair. And we've met quite a number of family members who reside in Limpopo province, who have been proven that they are indeed members of our family and come from the same bloodline. So my question is, how can you best assist us in finding all these things that have been taken? Okay, there's somebody talking in the background and it's disturbing.
Kindly mute your mic.
I don't know if you
if
can
you're not
find.
speaking. If you're not speaking, kindly mute your mic.
Thank you.
Your mic.
Yes, as I
Mic.
was saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Madam.
Thank you so much, Minister. Okay, so my question is, how can you assist us in finding out which museums and which all these belongings, their rightful owners? How can you assist us as the Zondi family in recovering all the assets that were taken by force from that war in 1906? That's my question. Thank you very much.
But who is the question for?
Could you repeat your question, Madam, please? You want to know, she wants to know how SOAT can assist her in discovering who
No, I'd like you to assist us in finding out how can we identify museums which took all those shields, spears from the Momekot in 1906. We know for a fact that a lot of items were looted, were taken, but we do not know which museums to go to. How can we best identify those museums? I'm asking who can assist us in finding out where those museums are, and how can we approach, the right way of approaching those museums for us to return to have those items returned. Thank you.
So I lost you. Sorry, I lost you for a few seconds. But which country are you coming from? Just to answer you.
I'm from South Africa. Okay. I'm coming from South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal province, in a small town called Greytown, where Chief Pambata Kamanzinza Zondi resided. Thank you.
Okay. So yes, we can definitely assist you. You just need to contact us. I will put our contact in the chat, or perhaps somebody can help me with that. And then you can write to us or call us by WhatsApp, and then we can assist you, because that's the job that we did with many of the governments here, you know. So we'll help them to identify some institutions or museums where the artifacts are located. And that is a beginning for a process by which we can tell, okay, we can prove that at least 3 or 4 artifacts are already detained in the country. There are probably more. So we need to have access to the inventories. You see, so you just need to contact us and we can assist you, because that's what we have done for many countries. I mean, for most of the countries here, we are doing the same job already. So for us, there's nothing new. So thank you, you're welcome. We can work on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Just before we move on, I think Chief Chasing Horse may have another phone. So if we can just check in with Chief Chasing Horse. I was advised that he's now got another phone to speak from. Chief Chasing Horse.
Yes, can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Watokake Mitaku Oyase e Prawachi. Ona betu kile wakan ki he te honkika tokashla wakantanka wopila tanka wa iwake. Oyuka abetu kile taku iwong la ka kilena wakan. Oeche mitaku e anavuktapu. Oh, I'm going to just translate what I just said. I want to, first of all, into English, I want to say all my relations, all my relatives. I want to, first of all, thank the Almighty Great Spirit, Togoshla Wakantanka, for giving us this life, this purpose. And I am a traditional leader of the Sichanhu Lakota Oyate, or the Lakota Nation, here located in the heart of North America. We call it the heart of all that is before it was America. And we've been involved in preserving and protecting and our languages, our ceremonial ways, our culture.
I think our chief has his connection has just dropped. We'll give him a couple of minutes.
Yes, I would like to take the floor, if you allow me, Vice Prime Minister and Minister Tucker, because I think Gabon and Zimbabwe will not be able to make it today, unfortunately. But on their behalf, I would like just to show the mandates and the documents that we have for them, so that we can recognize their participation to the class action. So thank you. Yes, I can see already the press kit. Oh, okay. Are you already showing yours or mine?
If you have it ready, then go ahead.
Yes, I have it ready. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So here, everybody can see in the press kit that we're going, by the way, we're going to share it in the chat. But here on the first page, you can see the mandate that ASAP gave us. ASAP is the association of the traditional Fang leaders of Gabon, but most of the people of Gabon belong to this community. So that represents almost all the country. So they gave us a mandate, and I am very happy to tell you that yesterday, the government called the lawyer of ASAP to see if they understand now they have also to work on restitution and endorse the campaign. So that's a great achievement already. So we have already the leaders, the traditional leaders, but also, of course, now the government. And it's our lawyer who is a representative, and she's going to discuss with the government regularly. It has already started. So here are some examples of ill-gotten artifacts. You've got here the Engil masks and that belongs to a secret society. It's not supposed to be displayed, in Europe, certainly not. But unfortunately, that one is on display in the Musée du Quai Branly in Paris. This is another sacred mask coming from Gabon as well in the Musée du Quai Branly. And yes, this is another one. This one is in the Louvre, the famous museum, the biggest museum in the world, the Louvre. Of course, famous, but full of stolen artifact, human remains, mummies, etc. So all of that is about Gabon. So we want to recognize that Gabon is part of the class action, and also now Zimbabwe. So unfortunately, the network is not very good at the moment, but I also want to recognize that Zimbabwe is with us. So they decided in Zimbabwe, because as our minister was already saying, Zimbabwe is already working on restitution, but on its side, isolated. So now they want to join the class action. And they decided to give mandate to the National Gallery of Zimbabwe, which is a state agency in charge of culture and legacy. And therefore, they are in charge of restitution. So the mandate is not coming from the minister, but from the authority for restitution, which is the National Gallery. And the person who was supposed to speak today is the director of the National Gallery. However, we have his mandate, and I would like to give you some examples of the artifacts. This one, you can see here a wire made of gold. There's a lot of gold in Zimbabwe, so no surprise. You've got dozens of golden artifacts detained in the British Museum. That's only one of them. Another example here is a charm doll. So it is made for fertility. So when a woman wishes to be pregnant, she needs to have that in their tradition. And that is located in the British Museum. And another example is this dagger, also coming from Zimbabwe. That was used, of course, for defense and attack. And that is also in the British Museum. So I wanted to share all of that to give justice to all of you, to all the people, the participants who could not join for technical reasons, but who are certainly part of the class action. Thank you.
If I may call to the floor again, Chief Chasing Horse. Chief, if you wouldn't mind to remove your camera so that it will preserve your bandwidth, so that we may hear you. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we are hearing you, Chief. Thank you.
As I said, we come from the heart of North America, and we are the Sichango Lakota Oyate. And we have been involved in many years in the return of artifacts and the return of remains for reburial within our traditional homelands, from institutions, museums, and different private companies that have returned items to our people. And it's very important. For one example, is we got an old ancient sacred pipe back from a museum in Kansas City. And just the return of that pipe brought back a spirit. It brought back a culture, an awareness of our roots, of our heritage. And along with that item came ceremonies that were conducted long ago in ancient times. And so now, because of the return of that item, our people are flourishing again within their cultural identity, within their ceremonial ways. The young people are picking up those teachings. And so that's just one example. There are many that is happening throughout this country. And the Rosebud Sioux tribe, or the Lasichang Hulakoto Oyate, recently exhumed and returned the remains of 9 students who were buried back in the 1800s. So we accomplished that as leading a pathway or a road into getting many of our artifacts home. So we support, we are sending our prayers, and we are sending our thoughts as well as our acknowledgement. And so we just want to say that much. We have also a chief archaeologist who overlooked this project, was going to be on the conference today, but had different difficulties. And so I just want to appreciate, thank each and every one of you royalties, ministers, and representatives throughout the world for this is a very important step, an important task to
I think the chief has lost his connection again. So may I yield the floor back to Millie? Thank you, Millie, to take some more questions if people have their hands up.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Elizabeth Rodriguez. Elizabeth Rodriguez, your hand is up.
Good evening to everyone. I don't know if you're listening to me, getting me there.
Yes, go ahead, please. Could you?
I want to say Baete to every queens and kings in South Africa and the whole Africa countries and all over the world. Here is Amenhotep V, King Awanga. I'm from DRC, Congo. Now we learned about all the colonizator have done against our ancestors, our father, our forefathers. Now we are thereby collecting all that they have taken down to their nations. My question is, after collecting all those statues and then what do we do with it? Because the 54 nations today has been divided by the colonizer. And there's nothing, we are not seeing any means. What means do we do for the 54 nations to become one? And my question again is that, do we still call their God our God? Because they are the one that introduced their God to us. The God we call it in Africa today, we all know that is a God of Bible that devised in different forms. Knowing fully that in Africa, when we talk about voodoo in Benin Republic, people look at it as an evil spirit. But going down to the history, we got to understand that we all come from Egypt before we divided in different nations. And the history of Egypt in other days where there was a powerful history that controlled the whole world of yesterday. Now that we are coming together as the kings and queens in all the 54 nations down to diasporas and Afro-descendants, what I want to ask, do we still call their God our God? Or we should go deep down and know the histories of Benin Republic after our forefathers left Egypt. Why did they give the name Vodou? Because when you go everywhere in Africa today, Vodou is one of the most powerful spirits. But there are some certain things, after my research, there are some certain things we are not looking into. And the more we call it a strange God in the 54 nations, our God, we will still be a slave to those people. They will still control our resources, our constitution in the government will still be holding by them. So I want us to think about these things because more than 3 months now, I came to Benin Republic for all those research. I'm still in Benin Republic. That was where I would like to meet the former minister if we can discuss about those things. So that was my question. My main question was, do we still call the colonizer God our God? This is my question. Thank you.
Somebody may answer the question, but very briefly, because it's not a question about restitution of artifacts. It's more about the restitution, perhaps, of immaterial legacy. So we will make, don't worry, we will make a conference about that as well. If somebody wants to provide a short answer, very short.
Moi, je pense, je suis du Bénin, donc je connais bien enfin plus ou moins bien le vaudou, exactement. Donc notre religion un peu partout en Afrique prend ce vocable vaudou, bien que les langues locales aient aussi leur traduction, leur équivalence. Je voudrais dire que cette action donc de groupe ici, pour ne pas dire le recours collectif ici, est déjà une affirmation de notre identité. C'est déjà la manifestation d'une solidarité, non simplement au niveau de l'État de la diaspora africaine, mais à travers toutes les populations, tous les peuples de descendance africaine, d'origine africaine. Et c'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Donc, répondre à votre question, c'est dire que non, leur Dieu n'est pas notre Dieu. Ben, nous ne pouvons pas réclamer collectivement au nom des nations un Dieu, parce que c'est une question après tout individuelle. I would like to say that, yes, this session, the mandate that every nation is given to SOA is already evidence that we are acting in solidarity. It is a proof that we are together, and this kind of togetherness is to fight together actually and reclaim and have our stolen properties and artifacts restituted to us, because we are the true and the only owners. That's all we're trying to do now. As far as religion is concerned, that's a matter of personal choice. We cannot impose any religion to whole nations across the African globe. That is quite individual. But yes, individuals can choose to call if they so believe that the God imposed on Africa by the Europeans is also their God. So God, if they believe in God, maybe that's an option for individual, not for us to impose on African nations, let alone the African diaspora.
Thank you, Dr. Dulubi. Excellent response. Thank you. Elizabeth Rodriguez, you had your hand up. Yes.
Well, this is Miguel. As I said before, I am using my colleague's computer. All right,
yes.
The name appears like that.
Yeah, I just couldn't see your name. I apologize.
My name is Miguel. No, yeah,
okay.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think my colleague, also journalist, the lady who is with a very beautiful yellow dress. I forgot her name. She was talking about the impact of the tourism of our artifacts, and there is also a concerning about it. But why? What is the effort you are making to make it as an international agenda in international media? Because many of African staffs, they are very good. They are very well done. But if they don't get the international media, Western governments is like they are pretending that they don't see us, they don't listen to our concerns. And I think it is a very important mission to become it in international agenda, in a media, because everyone in the world, all the cultures must know that African people, African nations, African kingdoms, yeah, they want to rescue their history. They want to rescue their material and immaterial things. And if we just walk as African without an international agenda, maybe it will be more difficult to be succeeded. And now my question is, how can this program become an international agenda?
Could you specify who the question is for? The question is for, yes.
Pardon?
Yes, could you say who you would like to hear about? Yeah.
Maybe to the Prime Minister, maybe.
I'm sorry, because I lost the connection for a few seconds. So could you summarize the question again? Yes.
Yes, my question was, how can this program become an international agenda in the media mainly? Because the Western governments, they must know that African kingdoms, African countries, African people want to get back their history, their artifacts. And maybe this way, this process may be easily to be succeeded.
Okay, well, because it is a press conference, of course, all our message is sent out to journalists, press agencies, and yes, of course, everybody will be informed. So we are not very worried about that. And when it goes to court, believe me, it will be even, bigger in the medias. So for the moment, they may believe that we're not serious, but they should know that we did it already for Benin, and now we will do it for more countries. So they cannot ignore what's going to happen. I'm not worried at all.
Yeah,
and we have, and it's already international because, of course, well, first of all, we've got many nations from Africa, but we have also nations from the Americas, and now I can even tell you, and of course, we've got Fana with us, we've got the Cherokee Nation, we've got many with us in Fana, and I can even tell you that now we are in discussion with nations in Asia. So they wanted to wait a little bit, they need more time to understand what we're doing, but we have strong discussions with countries in Asia, and they want to be part of the class action. So, it's more and more international.
Thank you so much for your answer. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to acknowledge our last two hands raised. We're losing our audience. Our conference has been dynamic. And I see Minister Sharon Paris Chambers, and after that, the King of Africa. And with my permission of Vice Prime Ministers and Ministers, may that be the last two questions, if there's nothing else impending. Minister Sharon.
Thank you so much. All protocols observed. I wanted to return to just stress that the nations that are restituting their art and artifacts should be further encouraged to know that there's great revenue, a great revenue source that will return to your shores. And it's even greater when the pilgrimage of the diaspora returns to see and view these arts and artifacts. I, being a student of African art, will be delighted to come and see empirically the art that I only saw in textbooks. And so we want you to be aware of the great revenue source. So we'd like you to hurry to get your museums in place if they're not in place, because our tourism ministry is ready to work with each of you to develop tours, educational and cultural tours to the continent. Is so important that to realize that the heart and soul of a people is also wrapped up in its sacred art. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Sharon. King of Africa.
Yes, Minister Mickey. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. This is an occasion given to me to explain or to express what is in my heart on this time. This day is not only a meeting day, but this day is an African day, original African day. Why I'm speaking like this? Because in Europe, everybody there, we have like a mirror there in a mirror of our ancestors who is in captivity for a long time. But today, Soad and his all member, today, they think about Africa. This is a victory. This is just a victory for Africa. This is the beginning of victory of Africa. Because I think a lot of people, they are taking this day or this meeting like a simple meeting. Just talking. No, this is an event, universal event that anybody don't understand what is this spirit is coming on behalf of Sawad to think to bring all the spirit which was in captivity outside to bring it in Africa. This is a big story for Africa. Imagine there is somebody who don't have a grave where who don't have a grave. He's dead but don't have a grave. His spirit is planning on the head. He cannot get a proper peace. He cannot get this peace. Now our ancestors, they are there in Europe, anywhere running. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to feed. They don't know who to communicate with. But the day they will land in Africa, that day they will reborn, Africa will reborn again. People don't understand these things. So what make a movement, a magistral movement. And Africa must to be proud of that. This is a spiritual matter, and is for Africa is the beginning of the living. If we can, it's not only today. If we can make it. We can make this meeting several times in a month. It will be very good to motivate more people, more African people, to wait for this ancestor to come back to Africa. This will be the beginning of development. If we go now, I understand somebody speaking about voodoo and about God. We have different family. Each and everyone have his father. We know very well his name. We know everything. But in spirit, even in Africa, we don't have only one God. Africa, no. Each and everybody have his power. But our ancestors, they are linked with the land, with our land. It depends on you. If you have your voodoo, who can give you the power to keep the land safe, you can communicate with this voodoo to keep the land safe. If it's another God, because the history was transformed, taking away from Africans. You don't know the real story of Africa until today. You don't know. That's why if you have a voodoo giving you the power to keep the land of Africa, you go to the voodoo. If you have a God who give you strength to keep the Africa, you go for this God. Don't make a mistake now to divide. We must go to voodoo. Even anybody no understand the voodoo, how we can go to the voodoo? That is the question. Because the question each and everyone must to put in his heart. If you know me, I'm getting my power to this power, to this God, go to this God to keep the land. That will be a very good thing. And for the question I have is, if we will permanently keep this is not only meeting, because when we are making meeting like this, and in another time, will not be only 50, will not be only 30, maybe will be 200, will be 500, because the subject is very important. And it's not must to be only 1 month, once in a month. It must be permanently. This is a matter of Africa. This is the heart of Africa. Do people don't understand what's coming this development, what is coming the power of Africa, what is coming the love of Africa, the love of the land, the love of each other. Bring this spirit, bring this this ancestral riches to Africa, to land of Africa. It's not depend only. It must be in Angola. Must be bring it first in Africa. Each and everybody will go to choose what is from his land. This is my humble contribution, but I will again ask to the Prime Minister, to Minister Mickey, if we can permanently get this meeting, and if we can just call all over. I know in the future for my side, even the government will participate in this meeting, because they will want to understand how we can move to bring these things back. This is my humble contribution. Thank you very much, Minister Mickey, and everybody.
Yes, thank you, dear Ambassador, for your question. So this meeting is not going to be a kind of unique, event. We did it last year. We will do it next year. So it will not be every month, as you suggested, but every year, so that we can make an update. And I'm sure that next year we will update you about the progress for all these countries, the 15 countries on the list, plus the new incomers. I'm sure there will be more next year. So originally we had 1 country. I was expecting 5. I was saying if it is 10, it will be a very big victory. And now we are beyond 15. So you can see the progress already. So do not worry, of course, we will continue. It's a continuous work. And you are very right. You said it's not a talk, it is an action. A class action is an action. It's a diplomatic action, and probably then we will have to make the legal action. And we may not have to finalize it because it may be solved before, as it happened for Benin. So it's true that many people, when I started the process with Benin, did not believe in it, because they told me, the French armies went to Benin with their the military, with the weapons, the cannons and everything. And do you think that you will be able to defeat these armies, and history? I said, yes, I think it's possible. It's possible. Because as you said, Ambassador, it is spiritual. And when you have the mindset, when you have the confidence and you have the support of your ancestors, you can defeat French armies. And this is what happened. So some people may not believe it, but it happened. And now they can admire all these artifacts in Benin, and that's real. So the people who are not, who may believe it's not going to happen for, this class action, I can tell them, don't worry. You can sleep if you like. We are awake. We are working. We are struggling. And we were successful in the past. We will be even more successful now. That's the victory. That's my promise. And that's my commitment.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Yes, Minister Millie, may I just request Chief Chasing Horse? I think he didn't finish his closing remarks. If he's available, may we hear him? Chief Chasing Horse?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Thank you.
I just wanted to continue and express our support from this side of the planet as we struggle to revive our cultural identities and our history and our ancestral ways of life, but also to continue a pathway into the modern world that we live in and that our children will face someday. We must make that path. We are creating that path for them. So just wanted to say that much today. I thank all of you once again from this side of the planet, to each and every one of you. Thank you for your words of wisdom and sharing, and to you for hosting this meeting and this conference here today. Thank you. Pila Maelo.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We've been honored with your presence, despite all the mishaps. Thank you. I see another hand. Linga Koman. Linga Koman, your hand is raised. Okay, she's not responding. Princess? Princess? I can't pronounce the name. Princess Letiwe, your hand is raised. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, my honorable. I wonder if I can be heard nicely, but
Yes.
yes, I just wanted to say what Anina van Niels showed us with the power of the films in telling the world what we want to say. I think that if we can have lamppost in all the countries to find out exactly what we want to say, like in South Africa, like we've got 54 countries in Africa. If we can like maybe have a theme of what we want to put in one big film to conclude all of what we've been doing here, so that we don't leave anyone behind, and then we publish it and it gets played anywhere else, so that even the kids can access it. It becomes a knowledge that gets transferred to the younger generation, so that it doesn't die out with the generation of us. So that's my greatest concern. I wonder if Anina van Niels is in this conference. She did a very powerful thing with that film that was showing the bones in all in St. Helena. So I was touched, and the way the waves it created to broadcast our pain. So that's my take today. Thank you.
Thank you. Linga Gakoman, last call. Linga Gakoman Malakan. Excuse me for hashing your name. Your hand is raised. This is the last call. Okay, I'm not getting
the meeting.
Yes, we're not getting a response. So at this time, we've been honored with the presence of a great many honorables and excellencies. And I would like to thank you again for this powerful, powerful press conference. It is being recorded. It will be posted. I'd like to say congratulations to our SOAD executives for presenting and putting together such a powerful initiative. So I would like to give the floor to our leaders, our Vice Prime Minister Katura, if she has any last comments, Queen G, if she has any last comments in that order, and finally, Dr. Prime Minister Louis Georges Ten.
Thank you so much, Millie, for moderating this press conference. I certainly, again, would like to thank all the press and the media for their presence and really understanding the vision and the movement that we have embarked upon. Like I said, there's no turning back. We are here for the long haul, and we are not going to rest. We're not going to stop until every last artifact is returned. I also wanted to acknowledge from Chief Chasing Horse the importance of what he said when he said when they received back, I think it was the pipe, Chief Chasing Horse, you said, and how it then reignited the traditions and the ceremonies. And this is one of the very, very, very important things about many of the artifacts, that they actually carry the spirit with them. And so in a way, they know that they're hijacking the spirit that exists within these artifacts so that our ceremonies, our traditions cannot be performed. So this is why it's so important. And he said that it actually changed his community, and his community is now thriving. This is what we want. This is what, and we want Africa to thrive. And you know, the whole context of repatriation, restitution, reconquest, restoration, so that we can make Africa make Africa to become the renaissance that needs to happen for all the peoples on the continent and in the diaspora. This is our work. This is our job. We are committed to it. We are committed to all of you who are seeking their artifacts back. We are here. As I said, the Prime Minister said we have the State of the African Diaspora that can be given the mandate to act on your behalf. We also have the International Commission for Heritage and Culture, where you can become a member of that collective coalition of bodies of lawyers and NGOs, states and nations and territories as well, so that we have this global presence, this global power. And so the power is in our hands. And I'm calling on each and every one of you for us to come together to achieve this mission. Thank you so very much. And thank you very much for being with us here today.
Queen Aji.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to our Prime Minister, our Vice Prime Minister, the kings, the queens, really everybody was able to build this story today with us. I wanted to answer to somebody about documentaries. Yes, we need to write the stories and to teach the stories to the youth and also to the African diaspora abroad. And we have got a film festival that is entitled to bring those documentaries to the world. We just need money, but we have got a team, we have got people ready to make documentaries about all the artifacts. And we need also to teach the youth and to let them be inspired by those artifacts and create more artifacts in our institutes, in our Faculty of Historical Legacy. So we need to tell, to write, to transmit, and to create again. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, Queen Aji. Before our Prime Minister closes, I don't want to omit President of Parliament, Melvin Brown. Thank you for being with us. Did you have any last comments before our Prime Minister comes?
I would just like to thank Prime Minister George Singh, Vice Prime Minister Ketura Moko, Queen Aiji, co-chair of the Royal Chamber of the State of the African Diaspora, and all who participated in putting this initiative together. I want to commend you. It has been very professional, very well done. And I feel very proud that I'm here. Also, the Vice Presidents of Parliament, 3 of them are in the room. I want to thank them also for being on the call and for all the journalists and their participation, their contribution. I want to say that It was well done, and I congratulate you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Chen.
Yes, thank you very much, dear Minister. So I would like first to thank and express my gratitude to the translator, Ambassador Balobi, who did a formidable job again, once more.
Yes.
I think even in the United Nations, you cannot find somebody who would be able for 3 or 4 hours to make, you know, a live translation, summary, retranslation in the other way. You know, I don't know how his brain is capable of doing all these things in all matters. So that is impressive. Thank you so much. I would like, of course, to thank the Royal Chamber and the International Commission for Culture and Heritage. That has been very important. This collaboration has brought a lot to the table, and that's how it's not only, you know, about Benin, it's not only about Africa, it's about North America. Hopefully in the future we will come with Asia as well. So you understand that it's becoming bigger and bigger, more and more international. I would say that the reason why we are focusing on this topic today is because it's like the metonymy of everything. What was removed from Africa is not only the artifacts or the Roman remains. Somebody in the room, Mr. Rosenthal, mentioned, what about the gold? And he's right. And people might say, what about the oil? What about the gas? What about everything? And yes, so many things were stolen, but not everything. Our courage, our spirituality, they could never, you know, break that down. So with that in our hands, we can reconquest everything. So as I said, it's not only about artifact and human remains. In fact, it's just the first step. But we are considering, you know, asking restitution of everything. And for the things that cannot be restituted, like the lives. Of course, when the people are dead, they were tortured and then they died. There's nothing you can restitute, but you can still ask for reparation. And that is certainly part of our mandate. And that is why it is under the portfolio of the first Vice Prime Minister. So as you know, it's about restitution, repatriation, reparation, and restoration. So that's why it is the first Vice Prime Minister. It gives the tone. It shows how important it is to us. So I wanted to thank her again and express my gratitude for her leadership, and because it shows, you know, to the world why it's so important. And I want to explain to you what happens when somebody doesn't ask restitution. Well, before our victory for Benin, anybody could go to the Louvre, which is the most visited museum in the world. Anybody could go to the Branly Museum and tell their children, look, this is coming from Egypt. Look, that one is coming from Congo. This one is coming from Benin or Zimbabwe, but now it is in our house. And we are very proud. So the message that is conveying to the children is, it is okay to take everything from Africa. And that's what even the president of France told me. He told me, Mr. Tse, why are you complaining? Regularly, we have discussions with African presidents. They never complained about all these artifacts. We go to the museums with them, and they were happy. So the president of France, Mr. Hollande, was clearly telling me, it's okay. It is okay to steal things from Africa. And even the presidents of Africa, they are applauding of their own deprivation. And I say, how dare you? We're going to send you to court, whether you like it or not. And he told me, you're going to lose. And I said, we're going to lose in the court, but we're going to win in the medias. And your diplomacy will be in tatters. It will be destroyed. And you think restitution is difficult? You will find out that the refusal of restitution is certainly more difficult. And that's what happened. His successor, 1 year later, had to acknowledge that he has to make restitution, otherwise it would make too much noise. And that would be good for the image of France. So now, believe me, it's going to happen. So that's why I have to say, it is a matter of sovereignty, a word which is dear to us, to the Vice Prime Minister, to all of you. Because if you don't ask for restitution, if you don't demand restitution, what is the message? The message is, it is okay to steal anything in Africa. But when you ask restitution, then you can start to develop your country. Then you can start to stand on your feet. Then you can start to say, no, you are not going to do everything with me. Believe me, you know. So that is a very strong message. You need to stop. And if you don't stop, you will be in trouble, you know. So the fear was in our camp, in our part. Now the fear is in their court. So this is the change that is happening now. As we all know, the global south is more and more powerful. We can see the story with BRICS. We can see all the things happening. The Western world only represents 10% of the world population. They are losing ground and we are empowering. So all the things we are doing are part of this geopolitical move from the Northwest to the global South. Now is our time.
Tout ça, on
So
comprend,
all of
il n'y a
that is, of
pas
course,
d'interprétation.
restitution. So, of course, all of that is about restitution. All of that is about empowerment. Thank you very much to all of you. Et pour Madame de Centrafrique, le résumé est dans le chat. Je vous l'ai dit, hein. Lorsque nous parlons anglais, le résumé est en français dans le chat. Et quand nous parlons français, le résumé est en anglais dans le chat. N'oubliez pas, le chat, il est disponible. Thank you,
Uhuru
everybody.
Africa, Uhuru
So, of course,
diaspora.
I give you
Blessings, Africa. Blessings, diaspora.
next
Give
year.
thanks. Blessed love.
Uhuru Africa, uhuru
Every
diaspora.
year, it will continue.
Blessings, blessings.
Bye
Chaque année,
bye.
nous allons le continuer.